Hey, if you're enjoying the content here at Dennis Sperling Unfiltered, make sure you support it by sharing, and subscribing to the channel. And also, hit that little notification bell in the corner so that you'll get notice of each and every one of our live feeds. What's going on, you guys? This is Dennis Sperling, and I want to welcome you back to the broadcast. Big shout out to everybody who's watching this on the replay. I want to talk about a very serious conversation. A very serious topic, and we're going to have a very serious conversation here. And this is directed specifically to my brothers, my Black brothers, those of you guys who consider yourself members of the Black empowerment movement, those who consider yourself pro-Black. I want to talk to you, brothers. I want to have a very serious conversation with you guys, a grown man conversation, and that's what I like to do here. Let me start off by telling you a story because I think it's important to establish this context. But first, I want to give a big shout out to Tasha Woods Avery, and thank you so much. Hit the #1 button, you guys, as you come in. Hit that #1 button. I want you guys to I want to know you're engaged. Now, many of you are familiar with this recent shooting in Brooklyn. I just left New York. I just left Brooklyn, New York, and this gentleman, this suspect, Frank R. James, 62-year-old suspect, he entered into a crowded subway and opened fire on women, children, men, innocent people. And he did it in the name of what? His hate for non-Blacks. Now, we don't know all the facts yet, so I'm not going to rush to judge. But what I do know is that there's been enough research on his Facebook page. He apparently has a YouTube page, which I won't mention and I'm not going to post. It said a lot of things talking about white supremacy, racism, and his disdain for people of the races, specifically white people. And so I get the frustration. But what I want to know, fellas, from you brothers, is where are we going with this? Now, when I was 21 years old, I had an occasion to go back, and I think I was probably 22, and I had an occasion to go visit my family back in Los Angeles. Now, I was 3 or 4 years into college. I had some issues in college. Those of you guys who have read my books, my sophomore year, I tried to kill a young man on my campus. I literally, he and I got into an altercation. It was him and his friend. And mind you, I went to a HBCU. So this is another Black man that I tried to kill. Long story short, something happened. A fight started. I ended up on top of him. I had my hands around his neck. I was choking him, and something came to my mind that said, go ahead and just bash his head into the concrete. Right at that instant, about 4 campus police officers at Grambling State University jumped on me. It still took them time to get me off of him. And I remember crying aloud like a piece of, like a pit bull or a Rottweiler would cry after you snatch some meat out of his jaws. I really wanted to destroy this young man. Now, it was just a fist fight. And even though his friend was attacking me too, I've been jumped by 2 or 3 dudes before. I'm from South Central LA. It's par for the course. I didn't take that personal, but I was upset because I did not get to vent my anger in this young man. So I had issues. You know, I'd grown up in violence. I played violent sports. I enjoyed it. I embraced the violence. And, you know, he had done something to tick me off and set me off. And I still had those monsters inside of me. Now, fast forward 2 years later, I'm home. I think it's maybe a Easter break or Christmas break. My younger cousin, Eric, who I also write about in my books. If you guys remember me, Teran, and Eric, we were all little kids and we used to hang out together. We loved each other. We were like the only brothers that we had. You know, that was it. Sometimes your cousins are more like your brothers. You know, your cousins are more like your brothers and sisters. And that's the relationship that I had growing up. All we had was each other. And so when we were able to get together, here we are, 22. They were probably like 16. I think Eric was 16, 15, 16. Teran might have been 16 at the time. And, you know, we had just come from a family member's house. Eric's mother had left early, and she told one of my older cousins' husbands, Larry was his name, that he's in charge of Eric, make sure Eric gets home. So Teran is in the car with me. I got to rent a car. And, you know, I'm like, Eric, come with me. And so Larry, who was basically, I mean, my auntie was so old, she could have been, you know, my cousin was so much older, she could have been an auntie. So we just referred to her husband as Uncle Larry. So Uncle Larry refused to allow Eric to come with me. And so as we driving down the street, man, and I'm almost embarrassed to tell you guys this, as we driving down the street and I'm pulling up on him like, hey, let my cousin get out. Eric, get out the car. And he's like, no, I can't do that. This is what this grown man is doing because his mother told him, look, you can't go with your cousin, whatever, you know. And I'm like, man, dude, this is my family. Like I don't even know you. And so I'm cussing him out and I'm talking about how I'm gonna whoop his, you know, butt. And, you know, I'm extremely violent at this point. And I know where I am, you know, and it's almost scary to relive this. But I would have really hurt Uncle Larry. I really would have hurt him. I would have done my best. But the problem was, you know, at the time I didn't recognize. I thought it was him that I was angry with. And in reality, I was angry at the circumstances of my life. I was angry at being away from home, angry at being in college, feeling like I'm wasting my time. Just angry at just being hungry, just angry, you know. And it took my Uncle Slim, you know, a couple of days later just to sit me down and say, you know, nephew, you really wasn't angry with Larry. And even then I was like, I was. But it's like, no, you're not that angry with that man. I mean, he was just following what, you know, his sister-in-law, you know, mother, he was following what Eric's mother told him to do. He couldn't just release the boy to you like that. And it took me a long time to realize that anger I had built up was misdirected, you know, but still, I was willing to do violence. I had done violence before in the name of the anger, and you couldn't tell me I was wrong. And I was willing to do it again. So here's the thing. A lot of these black men who are perpetrating these violent acts, the question we have to ask ourselves is, who convinced them they were angry? Who convinced them they've been done wrong? And why are they doing it in the name of Black empowerment? Because, see, anger can be misdirected. Violence can be, if I can get you emotional, if I can get you going and set you off in a direction like a ticking time bomb, then that serves my end. Now, the thing I want to do is I want to hit the number one button, but at the end of the day, I learned something from that. I understood that sort of response wasn't acceptable, and that you have to begin to work through those anger issues. You have to, because as men, you have the power and ability to really bring harm and destroy the society that we live in. So the thing is, when I think about Black empowerment, I think about Huey P. Newton. I think about Brother Malcolm X. I think about the Honorable Elijah Muhammad and all of his followers in the Nation of Islam. I think about the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, from whom I learned so much as a young boy growing up in South Central LA. I think about those 3 Black Olympians standing proud and strong, fist in the air, protesting anti-Black racism. When I think of Black empowerment, I think of the late, great Dr. Francis Cress Welsing. I think about Dr. Claude Anderson, Dr. John Henrik Clarke. I think about all those great scholars who dedicated their lives to studying and speaking, teaching a doctrine of empowerment, whether it was through finance or psychological or even spiritual. It was presented in an honorable way, a way in which we still hold in high regard. Unfortunately, those great leaders, our great leaders of the past, who initiated the empowerment movement, they're no longer with us, or they're so old and so removed, they're no longer actively involved in the empowerment movement. Or you have these modern day Black powerites who tell you, oh, just ignore them. Don't pay attention to them. Things have changed. When in reality, nothing's changed. So it's been taken over. And when I say it, I'm referring to the so-called Black empowerment movement. It's been taken over by charlatans. People who speak loudly with fancy words. They cater to your emotions in order to fleece your pockets of the little money that you have. They're no different than those preachers, those pork chop eating preachers from back in the day who would get the congregation riled up by hooping and hollering so that they could get more money out of you. This so-called modern day Black power movement is full of entertainers and hustlers. They peddle militancy behind computer screens, and in reality, they don't care anything about Black people or Black empowerment. Many of them are ego-driven. They just want followers. They will say and do anything to elicit some sort of emotional response from you. And this modern day Black power movement itself, it's not about empowerment. It's about making you afraid. It's about making you feel like you're a perpetual victim. And they have, and these so-called powerites, they have no incentive to empower you. Because if they empower you, what? Then you go on about your own. You don't need them anymore. And those who they see who are willing to take steps forward, they say, oh, what? They sold out. So what I'm saying is, and try to shame you back in, what I'm trying to explain to you guys is, they have no incentive to see you in power. They want to keep you afraid. They want to make you feel like you're victims. They don't want you ever to feel like you're not a victim. White supremacy racism is the big bad boogeyman that you should be scared of. It's this insurmountable obstacle, right? This system that's omnipresent that you can never escape. They basically are telling you that this white supremacy racism is God. And they're the only ones that can save you from salvation comes through them. They are the modern day preachers, with white supremacy racism being the devil and them being your Christ. That's all they're doing. You got to come through them for salvation. They sell you on the fact that you're a victim. And then they also tell you that you're entitled. I'm telling you this, you're entitled to nothing that you can't take on your own and control. They telling you, oh, you're entitled and they're supposed to give you something. Is that what type of men you want to be? Of course not. And that's why most of you don't fall for that shady okie doke anymore. It's so crazy. They got immigrants who just get to this country and they will have them believing that they're entitled too, even though their family just got to this country and didn't do any of the time that African Americans who've been here since the beginning have. See, the thing is, I often tell you I'm not pro-Black, but I never tell you why. The thing is, I grew up in a household learning about our great Black heroes, learning about our silver icons. Every 2 or 3 weeks, we would have a group meeting, brothers and sisters from the community. I would see the maps of Africa, our cable line, Night Grisha, all this stuff that you got. I learned about Ebonics, use Africans using the African grammatical structure on top of English language. This is our own language. I've been learning that since I was 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 years old. I met some of the civil rights icons and former Black Panthers that you guys read about. These people were all around me. I read all the books. The Honorable Marcus Mosai Garvey, Thurgood Marshall, El Hajj El Malik El Shabbat, read all the books. Read the Final Call religiously every week and was a regular attendee of the Nation of Islam community meetings. Matter of fact, in college, I was a member of the Nation of Islam Student Association. So most of you guys' credentials about Black power does not run as deep as mine. Not only was I in it, I lived it. Regular attendee at the Farrakhan meetings, Million Man March 20 years later. Here's the problem. I began to see the hypocrisy in the so-called Black empowerment movement. It seemed to me, and this is when I got to college, and I had seen a little bit of it when I was a young boy, seemed like them dudes that would come around were really just hustling, trying to holler at the women that was there. Y'all remember those poetry meetings? Didn't it seem like the poet dudes, they were in there talking that Black power, but then after it was over there, it was shh in some woman's ear? I'm just saying, even when I went to college, it seemed that the young men, they would leave their cipher discussing their chakras and the moons and the earths and the stars, right? And how the Black woman is queen and goddess and she should be treated with dignity and respect. That was the daytime when they should have been in class. And at nighttime when they should have been studying, they were throwing back 40s and blowing dro. I saw the hypocrisy then. This is what I'm trying to tell y'all. These are charlatans. And I'm glad that I have the wherewithal to recognize that. I also saw the hypocrisy later on in business and politics. Yeah, brother, we gonna stick together, bro. Yeah. And you wonder why what? Black professionals, sometimes we can't even get a Black client. And here's the crazy thing. Those same so-called Black empowered, Black powerites, pro-Blacks, they end up being senators and governors and mayors. They said they were fighting against the system that was so bad as young men. As soon as somebody presented them the opportunity to feed off the system, guess what they did? They joined the system. They became proponents of the system. It seems like these so-called pro-Blacks, they scream 5%, they scream nation, they scream God, all of this, right? They were just liars and hypocrites. Their actions didn't match their words. I recognized this. It was just rhetoric they were using. They were just giving off lofty words, making these. They were using these highfalutin words and making lofty speeches, but had no interest in empowering Black people or bettering our situation. They were just hypocrites. Now, since the advent of the internet, you got Black power gurus. They hiding behind screens. They making speeches in front of huge audiences, getting lots of money, popularity, fame, feeding that ego. They'll say almost any damn thing. And now they speeches and these failed philosophies driven by these egomaniacal maniacs can reach the whole world. And you talking to people who are already disturbed. They've been lied to and told this lie and that lie. They've been disappointed. They want to cling to something. And then you got a whole nother faction of people who are mentally disturbed. They've been brainwashed into believing they're victims. And then they also want to fight back. Then they're told that they're entitled. So they want to take something that they may not even have earned. And so when you mix all together, what do you get? Somebody lashing out, man. And here's the thing, as I said earlier, these people are not the brilliant people of the past that I mentioned earlier. These people are being brainwashed. These people who are lashing out, who are irrational, they are the weakest among us. Now, I mentioned this earlier. Recently, there was a shooting in Brooklyn. The man that allegedly committed this act, his name is Frank R. James, 62-year-old Black man. Everybody was on that train. Men, women, and children. More important, they were innocent and they were targeted. This past Christmas in Wisconsin, another Black man drove an SUV into a Christmas parade and murdered 5 people and injured 48 others, which includes women and children. They're innocent. And when I think of Black empowerment, even when the goals were to be accomplished with violence or the threat of violence, our ancestors acted in an honorable way. They did not target children. When I think of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, when I think of the Honorable El-Hajj El-Malik El-Shabazz, I do not think that they would agree with the tactics of this Brooklyn subway killer or this man from Wisconsin who drove an SUV into a crowd of innocent women and children. I think that Huey P. Newton would be appalled. And that man fought it out with the police and used violence when necessary. They would not support this savagery and this cowardice. The question now is, where did Black empowerment go wrong? There's no honor in killing or hurting innocent. There's no honor in taking the lives and attacking those who are weaker than you. I learned that lesson at 22 years old. We as Black men have to examine who we have allowed to lead us in this wrong direction. No longer can we ignore it or denounce it, because there are those of us who are listening to this. They're listening to a bunch of charlatans who are misleading them. They're misleading a bunch of women who don't have men in their lives, didn't have fathers, and see these clowns as strong masculine men. And in fact, they're just cowards, and they're weak, and they're not men. And on the flip side, you got angry Black men who are angry with their circumstances, just like I was at 22, frustrated by the circumstances of their life, and willing to take their frustrations out on the innocent. This is where we are in the so-called Black Power movement. And we need to talk about it. So I appreciate you all. We're going to take a quick break. I want to open up the chat room. I want to hear what you brothers have to say. We're going to come back in. We're going to have this conversation. This is going to be a grown conversation. Y'all know I don't care if you step on your toes. Don't matter to me. We're going to talk about it anyway. You ain't got to like me. I'm not here to be your friend. I'm your brother, and I love you, but I'm not your friend. So we'll be right back. Shout out to Lucifer Ratzinger. Thank you so much. Thank you again, brother. Appreciate Frank James is a piece of. I would have to tend to agree with you on that. We'll be right back. Hey, if you're enjoying the content here at Dennis Sperling Unfiltered, make sure you support it by sharing, and subscribing to the channel. And also, hit that little notification bell in the corner so that you'll get notice of each and every one of our live feeds. All right, welcome back, you guys. This is Dennis Sperling. We're going to go ahead and start the conversation here. I would like to first of all, acknowledge everybody here. Please hit the number 1 button. We got 52 people in the chat room. This is going to be a hard-hitting conversation. Hopefully will jar you to think what kind of idiots are we continuing to allow spew this rhetoric that has got these folks charged up into thinking that they are justified in killing the innocent? That's the question that we're going to answer today. Now, let's go ahead and start. The link is in the chat room, or will be shortly. This is where we are, right here. I'd love to hear from you all. I understand this is a hard-hitting conversation, and some of you may feel awkward talking about it, but I think it's necessary. Because for too long, we've allowed preachers and no good, low-down snakes mislead our community. And now that position has been taken over by these folks spewing this so-called religion of Black empowerment, which is really foolishness. Somebody said to help Uncle D keep his blood pressure down. Shout out to my man Alvin. Yeah, man. Yeah, I don't, we not punks. You understand what I'm saying? We don't kill. Black men don't kill innocent women and children. That's not our reputation. You know what? Andrew Jackson might have agreed with those tactics. Yeah, the former president, because he did that to Native Americans, Black, anybody. He might have agreed with those tactics. That's not what we do. That is not the type of men that Black men are. We don't do that. That's cowardice. Whether you like Christopher Donner or not. You understand what I'm saying? Some of you guys might not remember him. Gavin Long, y'all might not remember him. You understand me? You might not know who that is. Look it up. Makai Johnson, y'all might not remember them. But the difference between them and these dudes is at least they ran up on people who could defend themselves. You understand me? So whether you agree with them or not, or the actions they took, at least they went out and fought against men who were able to defend themselves, not innocent women and children. And I don't give a damn what color they are. That's not what we do as Black men. We are not cowards. And anybody who supports that is a goddamn coward. And you make sure you told them I said that. Now we're going to go ahead and have this conversation. So Frank James, even as Frank James, the 62-year-old man suspected by the police of opening fire in a crowded subway, was taken into custody in early afternoon on Wednesday, new details about his troubled life began to emerge, including a criminal history in at least 2 states. So he's already locked out of the system. That's part of his goddamn problem. You got felonies, man. You're a retired pookie. You're a predator pookie. That's why your ass is mad. Excuse the language. But you locked out of the system. You did something you shouldn't have did. Okay, bam. Instead of rehabbing yourself, you went back into the system. So I get it. I understand why you're frustrated. Mr. James was charged in New Jersey in the 1990s with 2 counts of making T threats. Y'all can read this word for yourself. And eventually convicted of harassment, a lesser charge. He was found guilty of harassment by a judge. He was sentenced to probation and received further counseling. Details were sparse in the court documents relating to his case, and the identity of his target was redacted. Officials said that he had also been arrested several times in New York for a number of offenses, including at least 1 charge of criminal sex act. So this is a predator Pookie right here. Now, I want y'all to understand something. When I say Pookie and Ray Ray, yeah, I get it. You know, not everybody that has a child outside of wedlock is late on his child support, don't want to get their ass up and go to work. No, not all of them are people that are predators. I'm talking about sexual deviants. I'm talking about dope. I'm talking about killers. This is a predator right here. And we need to distance ourselves from these clowns. Because this same, and y'all, let's get the story out. Let me not get ahead of myself. It is unclear how closely connected James was with his family. In 2 brief telephone interviews, Mr. James' sister, Catherine James Robinson, said that her brother had been on his own his whole life. Of course, she's going to denounce him. You know what I'm saying? And she has had little contact with him. Of course, the lovely ladies ain't going to go down with that smoke. Of course, they're not going to do that. She confirmed several details about her brother, including he was born in the Bronx in 1959 and that he often moved from city to city, never remaining in one place for too long. But she said that she spoke to him only occasionally on the phone and that she did not know what he did for work. They had not seen each other face to face in a long time. Still, she said she was surprised to see him named as a suspect in Tuesday's shooting. I don't think he would do anything like that. Are you serious? Okay. That's not in the nature of him to do anything like that. Asked if her brother sought mental health treatment, Ms. Robinson said he was not mentally ill and bristled at the suggestion. There was a lot that went on through our lives. In other words, he had issues. He had stress. He had circumstances that a lot of Black men are dealing with. You understand what I'm saying? This is it. He already got himself some issues, got some strikes back in his early 30s. This is who you dealing with. And this guy is the one that clung to what? The so-called empowerment movement. I hate this group or that group. I hate white people now. So you want to go shoot up a subway full of Asians and Latinos and folks. You clung to this because you're already mad at the circumstances of your goddamn life. And so now you go cling to this. So you can be mad at this so you can justify taking your frustration and anger out. I understand what happened. But the question is, who allowed this to happen? Those so-called Black powerites out there, you Black empowerment dudes, this is your responsibility because you've been spewing that rhetoric. You've been telling all these Black men they're victims. You've been telling them they're entitled. You're not entitled to anything you can't go out and take and hold on to it. The world belongs to who's ever strong enough to take it and hold on to it. If it got took from you, God damn it, you just got it took. And either you're going to take it back or you're going to deal with the consequences. That's life. That's what being a man is about. You don't sit around and wait for somebody to give you something. Nobody owes you anything. And part of being a man is realizing that. But a lot of these so-called Black power empowerment, you're just as effeminate as the women that you complain about. The ones that raised you. She mentioned that Mr. James had appeared on podcasts and YouTube, seemingly referring to suspects' prolific posts on social media. Let's take a look. She said the last time she had spoken to her brother on the phone was after the death of their younger sister, Barbara Jean Gray, from a heart attack several years ago. She said that Mr. James did not fit the description the police had released. Here's what I'm saying, family. They totally skipped past some of the things that he said on Facebook. In the videos, in other social media. In the videos between bigoted rants tied tenuously into current events, Mr. James described cross-country travels in weeks before the attack, a schedule that appeared. See, they skimming over this, but he's repeating in his Facebook rants, he's repeating all these so-called black empowerment talking points. See, now they're running from it. Now they're running from it. Now they don't want to talk about it. You got these folks ginned up, you got them angry with this rhetoric that you use as a scam and a hustle to get people, to follow you. Going around the country making speeches, telling these men, oh, you're owed something. And then somebody gravitates to it. And now what? Now you're quiet. This is what we're dealing with. This is the cowardice. This is no better than that white boy who went in that church and shot up those innocent black folks. That's cowardice. You want to show me how big and bad you are? Go run up on somebody that'll shoot back, that'll fight back, that's your size. You angry? If you really angry, you really bad. Go fight somebody big and bad like you. Where they at now? My man, Mr. Albert, said pro-wax are disappearing. They don't want this. This is your child right here. They didn't invent the doctrine of empowerment. They just found a way they can scam it and hustle and sell it to everybody else and make money off of it. This is where they are, man. Recognize a scam when somebody's scamming you. I recognized this years back when I was a young man. You just saying that. You just trying to get money out of people's pockets. You just trying to fill your ego. You got people giving themselves these false titles. Oh yeah, I'm this. I'm the king of this. I'm the great this, that, and the other. You ain't a damn thing. Most of these dudes learn this. See, a lot of these guys didn't grow up in the time where they actually had to study. They've been listening to YouTube videos and rebroadcasts from the 80s and the 90s of our great thinkers. They can tell you everything Dr. Francis Cress Welsing said or U.P. Newton or Malcolm X said, but they ain't read the books that they read. They don't understand the analysis. So they can't take you and move you forward with this empowerment. They can't pick it up and move forward because they haven't done the work. And it upsets me. I don't like it when charlatans come in and try to trick my people. We have been misled and we'll continue to being misled because you got leaders who are willfully doing it because they want profit. And the minute the white man winks at them and said, come on up, boy, they're going to take that goddamn job. Most of these Negroes, they don't want to fight against white supremacy racism. They getting W-2s. You understand? They trying to pay their insurance note. All they want is a better position under the umbrella of white supremacy racism. They lined up to sell out. Your same so-called pro-blacks that want to fight against the system, they're lined up to sell out. I don't trust not one goddamn one of them. Period. And y'all shouldn't either. Recognize game when it's being run on you. This is not U.E.P. Newton. We're not talking about Malcolm X. We're not even talking about Brother Martin Luther King. The two latter gave their lives in the name of freedom and liberation of black people. These clowns ain't doing nothing but collecting checks from you. Recognize the game, brothers. And I'm talking to my brothers because you're easily misled. Women ain't hardly going to go out and do that. They getting too many crumbs from the table. But some of you brothers feel disenfranchised. You're frustrated. You've been told you're a victim. That is not the position that a man should be in. And you want to fight your way out of it. And so what do? You lash out the best way you can because that's what this programming has told you to do. Where all the pro-blacks at now? Go claim this. This is yours. Where your empowerment movement at now? Just like them white boys got to claim them killers that killer that shot up their church. These racist white, they got to claim him. You got to claim this. Innocent women and children died on the subway in Brooklyn because of your rhetoric that you're spewing. That's not manly. It's cowardice. And you're the progenitor of that cowardiceness, that doctrine of cowardiceness, victimization. That's not acceptable. Either way, the link is in the chat room. I want y'all to make sure y'all hit the #1 button, man. I know it's an awkward conversation. I get it. We got 84 people in the chat room. Ain't nobody hitting the like button. I get it. It's all good. But you're going to hear these words. See, I'm not a member of your manosphere. Y'all put me in it, but I don't speak like them. They're not going to say this. Most of them have nothing to lose. But see, I don't mind showing you who I am because I mean what I say. And I say it right here and I say it in front of anybody. Anybody that won't show you what they look like, anybody that's giving you these fake names, you don't even know who the hell they are. They don't mean what they say, they hide. I mean it. And I stand behind what I say. Just like the BLM people hustle y'all, that's the same thing these charlatans are doing right now. Anyway, the link is in the chat room. I want to hear what you brothers think, because I know y'all have a lot to say. See, for many years, brothers have not been able to speak unabashedly. Our words have been filtered through media and whatnot. But see, this YouTube thing has allowed us to be able to speak openly about how we feel. And I want you guys to come in and let's have a conversation. I want to hear about it. I want to hear it. All these big bad, you're big and bad on the internet. You're big and bad when you're up in front of a stage talking to a crowd of women, telling them what black men need to do, how black men are inadequate, how the black man needs to protect the queen, how we need to fight against white supremacy racism. How you keep evoking the memory of Nat Turner. Keep doing that. But you ain't jumping your ass out there in the front. You ain't dodging no bullets. You getting other people gassed up to do it. That makes you a punk and a coward. What's up, Chaos Rain? Hit the #1 button.
Good evening, Uncle D. It's been a while. I was catching one of your last live stream, but we're not focusing. We'll focus on today's stream. This is my belief that people are comfortable saying, talking that, like I said, direct people to what they should be doing, but not even in the field. And I find to be very coward in nature. I won't tell no person what they should do. If you're dope, you know what you must do is right in your heart. I'm not going to guide you, hold your hand. Neither are you. You're here to educate, inform. That is it. You get me? We don't need no more followers. We need people to really use their brains and be their own leaders, which is very lacking in this community. So I've been hearing this thing that was buzzing with this gentleman that was from another state that went up here in the East Coast, New York. I remember you were in New York one time. I think it was
I was just in Brooklyn last week, man.
Especially Brooklyn. Big place.
That could have been me, man. That's what I'm trying to tell you, man. This man opened fire in the name of black empowerment and fighting the system of white supremacy racism. This man opened fire in a crowded Brooklyn subway. You understand what I'm saying? See, a lot of these people don't know how goddamn dangerous their rhetoric is. They just saying stuff because it sounds good. And then when somebody end up getting shot, they like turtles and snails and they go hide their asses in their cocoons and in their shells. Like, I don't know why he did that. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah, yes.
This is the problem that I have. See, I don't like cowards. I don't like punks. You understand what I'm saying? And we got a lot of punk ass black men. And I love my brothers. Y'all know I love you, man. I love y'all. You see what I'm saying? But we are not, black men we do not kill women and children. We are not that. We are not monsters. You understand? We have never, that goes against everything about what we are as an African people. Whether you believe, I mean, I'm just saying, man, we are honorable people. We are loving people. We are godly people. We don't kill innocent women and children. Black men don't do that. That's not our goddamn reputation. The white man has that reputation. Is that who you want to be? He's dealing with the repercussions of that right goddamn now. His woman don't want him. She don't want to have his babies. He's losing his power in this world. Is that what you want? You want the chastisement of God to come down you on that for these atrocities? You want to be like this person who has presented himself as your open enemy for the last 500 years? This is who you want to imitate? And some of these damn black empowerment people, you don't know your ass from a hole in the ground.
Yeah.
And this is what you're spewing now. And I have a problem with it. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah. Yeah. And the sad thing about this, and not only that, but there's other people in many spaces. And I said before when I see them that wrote those articles about the identified people, Uncle D, they've been identifying black people for almost a century. You get me? That's not going to change.
Change the name, cool, but you don't have black. This is 4 months ago. You got a dude who ran a SUV into a crowd of children at a Christmas parade.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying. There was a time, brother. And I don't know your age, but there was a time with black mass murder. You see that running across the TV screen, you already know it's a white dude. We don't do that. You understand what I'm saying? We don't have that sort of demonic nature about us. You understand? We are not like that. But see, let me tell you something, and I want y'all to hear me well. These black empowerment types, these pro-blacks, they really just want to take the place of the white man. And they want to be in charge. And they want to have a system that dominates you. That's what they want. See, they want to be your new enslaver. That's what that's about. You understand? They're jealous of that white man and the power that he had. In reality, they'll switch places with him if they could. They love the white man. Love him so. They hate him, but it's a thin line between love and hate. That's what that means. They hate him so. They hate him because they love him so much. And you can't get their black asses to go nowhere either. You see, they still here, right?
Yeah.
You know, they'll tell you, oh, you can't run from white supremacy, racism. It's everywhere. So we'll just stay right here. Well, hold on a minute. If it's so bad, why you don't leave? Oh, this is our country. We were the original people here. Have you not taken a DNA test? Oh, I don't believe in that. It's the same one that said that baby wasn't yours. You believed in it then? What are you talking about? You understand what
That's facts.
Maintain their cowardice, man. And front on the fact that they really want to be that white man. You understand? And I don't respect that. I recognize the game for what it is. And I wish more black men would. But see, they gravitate to this ideology, chaos reign, because they're upset with the circumstances of their life. I know what it's like to be angry and you looking for a target to take that anger out on. So you don't feel bad at yourself. So you don't turn it inside. I've been there before. You understand what I'm saying? And see, a lot of these dudes are they're too cowardice and they're too punkish to run up on somebody that'll give them that work. So they're gonna pick on the weak. You understand what I'm saying?
This is true. That's true. That's true. Yeah. Because let's be honest, to confront your fears, it takes a lot of boldness. And let's be honest, majority of black people say cowards. At much time to admit. And
your insecurities.
There you go. And it's good. Yeah.
See, dealing with go ahead, brother. Go ahead.
It's good because
come in. Go ahead.
Yeah, insecurities. So it lets you know all they gotta do is apply enough pressure, and it's gonna make you either fold or bulk up. And that's where rationality goes out the window. And I want people to still use the rational thinking to any action they take. They should not be just going berserk, you know.
See, the problem is, man, with this so-called empowerment rhetoric, and I've been hearing it for the past,
like almost 30 years.
HBCU, okay.
Okay.
So I've been hearing it since the 90s, man. And if you grew up in the 80s and 90s, you got It was a fashionable thing to do. See, okay, so let me give y'all a little history. There was a time when being hood, when being ghetto, it wasn't the thing to be. Like I was hood, I was ghetto. You know, girls didn't like. That's dangerous. He live on the. Not only do he live on the wrong side of town, he live in the wrong area. You see what I'm saying? I would go and hang out with. They were like, "Where you live?" I'm like, "I'm from South Central." They like, "Ooh, okay." That's not. See, now it's a thrill in that. You see, but during my time, the thrill was, oh, he's black empowerment. Oh, he's a black power. He's like the black, because it's almost like the thing that they're scared of becomes the things that attracts them. The whole black power thing was a thing they were scared of in the 70s and the 80s. So by the 90s, it was a thing that they was attracted to. It became fashionable. So what you did was you embraced the gods and the earths and the stars, and you told people you was in the Nation of Islam and you grew up in it, but then you drinking 40s in the back of the dorm room. You see what I'm saying? And I'm like, y'all some hypocrites. So now the thug thing is in. You know, now the gangster hood thing. You know, I know what hood is. These dudes are not. This is not the type of hood at all. This is fashionable. It's fashionable. It's trendy. This is where we are. So a lot of these dudes realize how they could capitalize on this thing by selling this rhetoric. It's the same thing the gangster rappers did. They sell this rhetoric and they capitalize on. They selling the dream. And you see what they're doing, man. Look around. You know what I'm saying? Black empowerment is a joke now. It's a money-making scheme. BLM is big, large mansions. Look what they did. That's black empowerment. Look what they did, man.
Yeah.
You know, in the name of black empowerment, chaos reign, they just pimped out all of our struggles of our people in for personal gain. And you got dudes on the internet, dudes traveling around doing speeches. They doing the same thing, man. And it's a hustle. It's a straight up hustle, man.
But from your experience, because you're older than me, do you think that this was eventually going to turn to hustle since you came across this information back in the mid 90s?
I mean, I knew it was a hustle when they was trying to, you know, get chicks in the bed. Oh yeah, okay. No, I'm a strong blah blah Zulu warrior. Like your black ass, the Shaka would kill you on sight. You are weak. You weak.
Facts. Yeah.
Shaka Zulu. Shaka made his whole. At one point, he made his whole court. He saw they was getting too fat, right? Mm-hmm. He said, "We going for a run." They went on like a 20-day run, and anybody that lagged behind, they got stabbed. He had his elite guard file. They ran around their whole like land. I mean, miles and miles. And anybody who knows anything about the Zulus, they were one of the fastest mobile. They did some amazing things to move like 20,000 men in a matter of hours. They moved them like 20 miles, and like, it was just amazing. You see what I mean? And so he made. You said they were getting too fat. So you know, you're not a Zulu. Most of our African brothers don't even respect us. You understand? They don't respect you because they see the punk in you. You woofing that pro-black, but you don't even know what's going on with black. You don't know. You're lying. You're a liar. You see what I'm saying? And we need to start calling these so-called pro-blacks that you're lying. You're trying to fleece these women of their money. You're trying to trick dudes who maybe have insecurities. You're trying to give them something to gravitate to hold on to so you can be their leader. That's it. You want minions. You don't want men. You want minions and followers. You're egomaniac. And we need to call these dudes on that, man, because now you got crazy people. You got people like this dude who are gravitating to it. You see what I'm saying? It's the rhetoric, man. It's dangerous. Like, you know, and I don't want to go into last night, but see that young lady last night, I was really passive. But all she did was prove to me and everybody with good sense that that's your goddamn enemy. And I know it's hard to say. And when they come back, maybe I had that conversation with them and like, you divest us, you're our enemy. This is you saying abort black baby boys, and you're my enemy. Is that what you want? And, you know, I didn't go there because I try to get everything out of these people. But these goddamn so-called empowerment dudes, you gassing people up to kill people. This is you think this is what Huey P. Newton wanted? Huh? You think it's what Brother Malcolm died for? Is this what we at? Huh?
Yeah.
But anyway, man, anybody else who want to come in? What else you want to say, Chaos Ray? Man, I didn't mean to cut you off.
Yeah, because you know, with Lady yesterday, 'cause I saw snippets and I actually got a chance to watch the whole thing, not the whole, but I watched where the part, the conversation. And I'm thinking, saying, if you made your decision, why are you still hanging around black men? And it tells you that because they have not got what they wanted.
Now, I
That's,
don't want to go too deep into that.
but you get what I mean, Uncle D.
Yeah, but just give me. I want some other people to come in. Shout out to
I'm hoping
Project.
everybody come in, because
Yeah. But just chill for a minute, man. You've been around these YouTube streets. You see what's going on. You're a smart young brother. I want you to stay. Project 80 said to help Uncle D with his blood pressure. Yeah, I read that one already. Loose for Ratzinger, thank you so much. Urban Eagle. Who else? C Square salute. Thank you so much, brother. I appreciate you. Let me see something. Who else we got? Be about peace. Something like this could cause white supremacist retaliation. I'm not worried about that, man. They've already, as far as who's laid out the most bodies, they got us beat. You understand? We can never catch up with the number of bodies that white supremacists and racists and those who came and conquered this land and kidnapped us from Africa. We could never catch up with these bodies. What I'm worried about is your moral compass, brothers. That's what I'm concerned about. This is not who we are as a people. We are not that goddamn dirty and savage. You see what I'm saying? We are God's people. We are God's chosen people as far as I'm concerned. And this is not what we don't kill innocent women and children. Not like this. Not just open fire on a subway like that. This is not who we are. These are not who we are as an African people. Period. AJ, so it's not retaliation that I'm concerned about. It's about who we are as a people. And if you're doing it, do it in the name of something else. Don't do it in the name of black empowerment. Don't mess up what our ancestors created. Don't you crap on what Huey P. Newton did, Malcolm X did, the Honorable Elijah Muhammad did. Don't shit on that, man. Go call it something else. You see what I'm saying? Don't do this shit in the name of black empowerment. That's not acceptable. You will not crap on the legacy of these late greats, like Dr. Francis Cress Wilson. That's not happening. Not while I have breath in my body. But anyway, brother AJ.
Hello, Mr. Sperling. How are you this?
Hey man, this is not an easy conversation for me.
Yeah, you are correct. I was just wanting to chime in about what you said about the empowerment movement, and I remember things. I grew up in the 80s and the 90s, and I remember when the movie Malcolm X came out, and then everyone started wearing the Malcolm X hats. You remember that? And I remember on Fresh Prince, he started wearing the hat, and Jazzy Jeff started wearing the hat, and then it just became like what the movie meant just kind of went sideways.
Yeah.
So they
put Brother Malcolm on TV with a white woman for half the damn movie.
Yeah. And I remember because my father, he's an MD, he's a doctor, and my mother's a professional. So we would have Black History posters. We'd have Marcus Garvey and Thurgood March. So he made sure that we had an idea of our strong Black male, role models. And then I remember, we saw Malcolm X, and then to just see all of a sudden you would see in all the gangster rap stuff, they're like wearing the Malcolm X hat. It's like, what? And I really think that that's when the shift from anything that was like the empowerment went from just being governed by the media, and also it went from people that are talking about solutions to people that are just complaining about the problem. Like you are a solution-based person, which is why I love your content. You always talk about solutions. But what happens is that people who are just wallowing in their misery and just talking about the problems over and over again, they don't want to move the conversation forward. So brothers like you who are trying to talk about solutions, they're looking at you funny because you make them feel some type of way because they realize that they ain't getting anything done. So I think that's the biggest thing about the empowerment movement now is just Trump just talking about the same tropes and tired stereotypes and stuff over and over again. It's like, okay, we understand that there's a problem, but let's start moving towards solutions now. And when you ask them for solutions, they got nothing for you.
The problem, AJ, is I want you to look at our leaders of the past,
Mhm,
right?
mhm.
Dr. Francis Cress Welsing.
Yeah,
What's the first thing you hear in that?
doctor. Yeah,
Dr. Amos Wilson. What do you hear in that?
doctor.
And it's
Yeah.
not easy. It's not easy to get a PhD. Shout out to Kevin Sanders. It's not, you can laugh if you want to. It's not easy to do that. And these folks, Dr. Amos Wilson, Dr. John Henry Clark, Dr. Chancellor Williams, even Brother Malcolm X was well studied.
Mhm, mhm.
For you guys who know his history, he was an excellent student and actually wanted to be a lawyer. He fell short for about a year and a half, ended up in prison for almost a decade. But even then, he was learning under the teachings of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. He was an educated man, not formally educated, but he took the time to learn. Now look at your favorite Black Powerites right now.
Yes.
Look.
Yes.
They are not equipped to pick up the reins and lead Black folks. All they do is recycle or regurgitate, I should say, talking points from our brothers and sisters, our learned brothers and sisters from the past.
That well,
That's how they do it.
I'd have
They're
the
not
same.
equipped.
I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
I have the same conversation with a friend of mine. His girlfriend's white, and she's one of those woke, people that tries to woke explain
Yeah.
oppression to me, even though I'm Black, But I asked her, I was like,
I want to explain something. Let me break this up for you guys. Okay, so the term woke, it came about in the late 80s and 90s. Now, some of you guys, are you familiar with the 5%ers, the 85?
Mhm.
Are you any of y'all familiar with that?
I heard about them, but don't know much about them.
Let me hear, because I've watched this word be perverted by the media, and as a person who was there, I want to explain to you guys what woke meant. Ian Graves, how are you today?
I'm good. How you doing, doctor?
Dennis, yeah, not doctor, attorney, but you can just call me Mr. Sperling if you so choose or whatever.
Yes, yes, sir.
But let me explain this term woke. Woke in the 5% nation of this 5% nation, they have a term called the 85, and what that means is 85% of the people on the planet are asleep. What they refer to them as the deaf, the dumb, and the blind. Okay, and I'm not a member of their organization, but I'm telling you, I heard it all. I grew up in it, around it. You understand what I'm saying? You can't escape it. So you hear the rhetoric. 85% of the people are deaf, dumb, and blind. Then you got 10% of the people who run the world, who know what's going on, but basically they're not trying to help. Then you got the 5% of the people who know and are consciously trying to undo the wrongdoing of the 5%, of the 10%, and that 5% is considered woke. That's the conscious. The conscious community. That's where that term came. Everybody else is asleep. The term conscious community comes from the fact that I'm conscious. I'm woke. So that's where that came from. You see what I'm saying? So, just understand the history of the word, man, and that's all I'm saying. But when they say everything is woke, now white folks are taking it in the media. Woke means I support gayness and I support.
Yeah, the way that I mean it now, even is that I say that there's wokeism, where like there's these super far leftists who are like white. They're actually as racist as the far right. They say, because to them, all Blacks are all poor, all Mexicans are all immigrants. So they're just, and they act like they can help us. Oh, Alan,
what you're saying, brother, it's a paternal racism.
Yes.
That's brother.
Yep.
Read Brother Marcus Garvey's letters that he wrote. He said it's a paternal racism. Even Brother even Brother Martin Luther King said these well-meaning liberals. It's a paternal racism, meaning you don't know well enough to govern yourself, so we're going to do it for you. You see what I mean? But anyway, let's I want to get to Ian, and we're going to come back to everybody. I want you all to have your voices, because it's frustrating to me, and unfortunately, it's partly my fault. Because I'm almost 48 and I've sat down, and let it slide. And, that's instead of shutting this down and saying, this is dangerous rhetoric that you fools are spewing. You see what I'm saying? What I do notice, and here's the difference. The Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, they go up to a certain limit, but what they don't do is tell you to go out and start, shooting up subways. You understand what I'm saying? They got structure and system, and they recognize that the way you fight against the system of white supremacy is you have to come up with your own systems and structure. The problem is for these so-called black powerites, that would require them to actually get up off their ass and work. Yes. And they don't want to do that.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying? What they want to do is sit behind microphones and sit at long desks and with other people and have the cameras on them and debate and talk.
Beef with each other.
Yeah,
they beef with each other. Oh, he's not real. I'm real. Yeah, he ain't real. I'm real.
Bro, they've been doing it since I was in college, brother. Oh, you a member of the Nation of Islam? That's not the real. I follow Wallace D. Muhammad. You know that's real. But you know that's what they've been doing. All they doing in that, they've been doing that since I was young. You understand what I'm saying? Now they still doing it, but they're doing it on a national scale, on international scale. You understand? So this is what I want. This is why I'm so frustrated. I recognize it was a hustle 30 years ago, but now that hustle is causing for our reputation as black men to suffer. You got two black men who have mass murdered folks in the name of black empowerment over the past 3 or 4 months. You understand what I'm saying? At some point, we are if this continues to go forward, as it is, because we know how white supremacy racism is, we will become the face of domestic terrorism. That's what I'm trying to explain to y'all. And this is because of the rhetoric that these so-called pro-blacks are spitting on the internet. Look at this fool, Frank James. He's got a goddamn YouTube page. He's on Facebook wolfing that craziness. You understand what I'm saying? And I'm telling you, I love my brothers and I love you brothers, but what we don't want to do is allow this to continue doing. It's our reputation that'll go down the toilet. We've finally been able to get rid of this thug thing, right? Do we really want to be the face of domestic terrorism?
Again, right? Because remember, the Black Panthers were the domestic terrorists. I think you had touched on that back in the day. You know, the FBI made us look like the domestic terrorists then. So it's like, do we want that to come back around again?
They were fighting it out with the police. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? They had, but at the end of the day, man, they had, especially some of my friends in Oakland, they would serve breakfast to the children in the morning. They would go out. They were fighting against men.
I know, but it was just the propaganda from the government.
I want you to listen, brother. I want you to listen carefully. They were fighting against the police who were armed. They were fighting against men. At no time did any of our brothers from the Black Panther Party go up and shoot up any subways full of children and women. You understand the difference between that?
Yes, I understand that.
At least what they were doing was man.
Yes.
I understand that cowardice, which is the stepchild of these effeminate men who've taken control of the empowerment movement. But go ahead, and then I'm gonna let Ian and then a couple other brothers come in.
What I was just piggybacking off of what you were saying by that the FBI and all of them, even though the Black Panthers were doing what was just, spun everything to make us look like the face of domestic terrorists. They were lying. They were lying.
See, this is what you don't get. I want you to listen. Even though they were trying to spin it, you see, they were still fighting against other men.
Yes, I agree.
You understand? It's only so far.
I'm not arguing. Yeah.
I got my guns. You got your guns. Okay, we're going to fight. I don't agree with what you're doing. We're going to fight it out. You see them not babies and children and running SUVs in the crowded parades of children in the name of black empowerment? Is that what you want? As black men, is that what you want? Somebody doing that in your name? That's my question. But anyway, I want to get to Takuma. I hope I pronounced your name correct. Sir, how are you?
I'm good.
All right. JBWR, how are you, sir?
I'm well. Thanks for having me, brother.
No problem. Let me go to Ian Graves first, and then we'll go to Takuma. I just wanted to make sure that it was clear. Go ahead, sir. Mr. Graves, please add to the conversation. Shout out to Tasha
Wood. My take on this is in a lot of ways, I think when we had COINTELPRO come into the sphere of influence, I think a lot of these guys are being run by white higher ups somewhere.
I can believe it.
You know, I don't think this is black homegrown anymore. You know, not at all. You know, you have Antifa because look at Antifa. right? Antifa does some terroristic type of shit. You know what I'm saying? These just white folks, and you have a lot of
Trying to stay away from
black
the T
people.
word because I know YouTube
Okay,
is going
right.
to
Yeah,
monetize
yeah,
this,
yeah.
man.
The
I
T
know.
word. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
You have them doing the T word. You know what I'm saying? And they have no shame in their game. So this is what white people are willing to do, and a lot of black people think that they can just ride their coattails on this type of thing, but they can't. You know what I'm saying? Because Antifa ain't gonna get that label put on them. You know what I'm saying? That but as soon as a black person like the guy who went to the Capitol, you know what I'm saying, he got the blame for the whole Capitol event. You know what I'm saying? He got the most time. You know what I'm saying? He got the harshest prosecution. They don't even care about the white folks. They worrying about that one black guy that was part of that thing. And I think in a lot of ways this pro blackness is necessary for white folks, because
You see, the thing is, man, what our ancestors started, what our educated, thoughtful ancestors started, it came before. That's not what this is right now.
right.
This is a hustle.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? They are no different than the preachers that they called out back in the 60s and 70s. The preachers in the pulpit spitting that religion, and really they was just trying to sleep with the women in the pew and get you riled up and get your money. That's what they're doing now.
Yeah.
Listen to them. They got no goddamn business talking about relationship advice. I don't even goddamn talk about relationship. I don't get no goddamn dating advice on this page. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah. And
you worried
you
about
know,
who got the most
like
likes
I
and
said,
who's built. Hold on, you worried about who got the most likes and who's building this building and this bullshit, man. You about black empowerment, be about black empowerment, not about who's having sex with who, man. You understand me? That's beneath you. And it's a hustle, man. They're telling you that anything, and of course, they always target the women. Look how simpish some of these so-called black powerites are. They're just like those preachers from back in the day. They always cater to the women because that's where the money is, man.
Yep.
The black men are walking away from this so-called black empowerment movement the same way they walked away from the black church 20 years ago. You understand what I'm saying? It's because something innately in you tells you this ain't real. You know, and that's that God in you to tell this ain't real. This is not where I want to be. But anyway, go ahead, brother. And
well, I mean, because the thing is that the only way that white folks can be in charge of the movement is if you have these radicals, these chaotic individuals that really don't have a goal and a real aim for what they're trying to do, except for, as you say, fleece the rest of the black community. And so, what, like you were saying earlier, the problem is that as a man, right, you're not going to go down this road because, as you said, if somebody takes it from you, then they were able to take it, and it's up to you if you're going to take it back, and so. But at the end of the day, though, in most of these cases, none of these guys have any real skin in the game for the amount of rhetoric that they're talking about, and they're not willing to put skin in the game, except for a lot of these guys have killed other black men, and they're just like females, because females think they're pro-black because they've been in the women's empowerment movement, and then they come over to pro-black and think that they can run the show. And the same way with these guys who have killed other black men. They think, oh, I've killed other black men. That means now I can come over here and run the pro-black movement. But that's not how it works.
I just want to kind of piggyback off of that, what you said about the Antifa. I went to University of Washington, but then I graduated from a really high-level kind of liberal art school before grad school. So we had a lot of these rich kids.
Because we were supposed to have Takuma in next.
Oh,
go ahead.
I'm sorry.
Hey.
I'll mute.
Can you hear me?
I'm going to let you finish your point. Who is that speaking?
Oh, it's Takuma, Dennis.
Okay, go ahead, sir. Please. We want to have this to be orderly. And then I'm going to open up the round table where everybody is equal on the screen, and then we can talk, okay? But I want to give everybody an opportunity to speak at least once, open, and say and voice their thoughts. But go ahead, sir.
Hey, Dennis, this is Takuma from Graham.
Hey, what's up, brother?
Yeah. So when you were talking, I couldn't help but, remember our days back at school
Yeah,
going through all this.
yeah.
And it's funny, in our older age, the only thing I could really think of is, how come of all this time we as men have not put together a plan to, impact our communities differently. And I'm explaining to you what I mean,
Yes,
right?
sir.
So a lot of times, I'll just use the church as an example, right? Because I stayed Christian, right? So a lot of times in the church communities, they want to they bring, people come into the church or whatever, or public part of the church family,
Mhm.
but they're usually outside of the neighborhood in these days.
Okay.
But the church, that the physical body, the church, or the building sits in a community, and they're trying to draw from the community, but they're not really reaching out. And the reason why I'm bringing this up is because most of the networking and most of the things that we're doing makes us look shiny on the hill,
Mhm.
but there's no work being done around the hill to build it up.
Yes, sir.
And so I'm saying, as brothers, as men, even with our professions and even with our skills or whatnot, it's like, who are we affecting so that we build a greater network? I remember you was talking.
Go ahead,
What'd
brother.
you
Go
say?
ahead. No,
I
no,
was
go
saying,
ahead.
like, and I was thinking about something that you were talking about a few days ago about what doing with your sons, trying to build them up. And one of the things I would say when I would be at the school with my daughters, or I talk to other parents, I talk to the other boys or whatever. I try to be a good influence, so my daughters and their friends have some peers to work with as they get older. There's no use in me just being around and being a good influence on my daughters,
Mhm.
and not a good real role model to the other boys and other people in the school, so they can see somebody and not even just emulate, but have another perspective of a man.
You know
And
the
so if
thing
I'm a
is,
good influence on them, they
yeah.
have an opportunity to have greater working peers when they get older and trying to move society.
Yes, sir. See, the thing is, and Takuma, I'm glad you're here. You know, the thing is, man, all these dudes are so-called they're about black empowerment, even the so-called black male empowerment. What are your
Yeah,
sons doing? Let me see what your sons look like. You trying
right,
to empower these grown men, but what do your sons look like? Some of you dudes ain't
right.
seen your sons in years. Kids don't even like you, and you trying to
Hmm.
tell me what I need to be doing as a man?
He said
Are you
kids don't
serious?
even like.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just
No,
saying, brother. You know, I mean, let
it's
me
true.
speak on. There's a reason why I let you see who my boys are, because you can say, well, the fruit don't fall that goddamn far from the tree. If that's an apple tree, you see what I'm saying? We
Right.
need more apples in the black community, and if this is his fruit, then this is who he is. You understand what
Right.
I'm saying? Now, the other thing is, since I guess you were there from '92 to '97 when I was there. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Yeah.
The thing is, you remember that so-called movement, the Black Power movement on camp. Tell us what you remember
Of
seeing from the
course.
brothers
Of
on
course.
camp. Let's put him
I,
on the big screen so y'all know it ain't just me out here. Go ahead, brother. Tell them what
yeah.
you saw. The
So
same thing I saw at GSU. The blackest black college of all time. Go ahead, brother.
yeah. So we kind of rode in the same circle,
Mm-hmm.
and it was a whole lot of us, right?
Yeah.
Very diverse from a lot of different places, and everybody was wanting to be down for the culture,
Mm-hmm.
and everybody was trying to, quote unquote, pick up knowledge and pick up information. That's
Let
where
me
we
pause
all
right
ran into
quick.
Eric.
Hold on, let me stop.
Huh?
Erica Badu was
I
there
was
when
about to.
you were there.
I, I was
Go
about
ahead,
to say that
brother. So
because
all that you see
we
her doing, she wasn't like that when she was on campus with us. She was fine
not
though.
originally. No,
But
no, no, no,
go
no.
ahead.
She transformed over time. After going, hanging out with Black to Basics, the bookstore,
Right,
and
right.
I mean, we had the tapes, the video, the meetings, and all the rest of that. But
Yeah.
it it never stranded out into some type of organization to build anything. You know what I'm saying? It
As individual brothers, right?
Yeah,
What I
yeah,
found in the daytime, they was whooping that 5%, the queen goddess, and at nighttime, that wasn't what was happening. You see what I'm saying?
yeah,
They was walking down the street to that liquor store getting that Mad Dog 2020, You understand?
Yeah,
And some fried
I've heard a
chicken
lot of
from
different stories.
Tasty's, that 199 special from Tasties, and going and sneaking
Yeah,
over to the girls' room smoking weed. That don't seem
yeah,
like consciousness to me. You understand?
Mm,
And
right.
that's what I used to see back then. And I'm like, y'all full of shit, man. You know,
Well,
go ahead.
well, I was going to say one of the things, because like I said, I stayed Christian, right?
Man,
And
amen.
so one of the things I saw was that, and I hate to say this, Dennis, I hate to say it, but one of the things I saw was people's moral compass was fudgeable.
Mm-hmm.
Does that make sense to you? What I
Yes,
just said?
sir. Yes, sir.
It seemed that their moral compass, and this ain't everybody, but their moral compass was according to the moment
Mm-hmm.
or according to the situation. It didn't have a set, place where you determine where you stick with what was right or wrong. It all depended on the situation, and I just couldn't get down with that.
Yeah. And see, let me give y'all something else. See my face? All the hundreds and thousands of people that know me, they see my face. You understand what I'm saying? When you got dudes hiding their faces on the internet, they're not afraid for their safety. They're afraid the people that know them are gonna come up and pull their whole card. That's why they don't show their face. You got a man right here. So I've been knowing Dennis since he was 18 years old. He ain't said nothing
Oh yeah,
bad about me. Ain't nothing you can say. Like, I mean, you understand what I'm saying, family? You a coward if you hiding yourself. You hiding from your past. I don't trust not one goddamn person that's hiding their face. You got something to hide. Malcolm X didn't hide himself. Martin Luther King, Thurgood Marshall, Huey P. Newton, they wasn't hiding their goddamn selves. Look, I like some of the stuff that some of the brothers are saying. They're very intelligent people. But are you my leader? Hell no, you're not my leader. I can't follow you. You a coward. You a coward. You say some intelligent things. You're intelligent. You're smart. Great. Fantastic. But you are not my leader because you are a coward, because you won't even show who you are. You won't even show yourself to your people. What did Mike Tyson say about Mayweather? You're too afraid to take your kids to school. You're not a champion.
Yeah, he said Mayweather got to walk with a bodyguard, but Ali didn't.
You see what I'm saying? You see the difference between what we need, the men that we used to have, and the men that we have now? I don't want these men leading me. You understand what I'm saying? So it takes a lot to put yourself out like this. I put myself out because y'all can see I'm authentic. My people see me, people I went to school with, my enemies see me, but I put myself out there because I want, and you got my real name. You can Google me. You understand what I'm saying? That's what separates me from, I mean what I'm saying to you, brothers. And I want you to stand up and be men. And this whole cowardice ass movement that they've co-opted from our great ancestors, we got to put an end to this, man. But anyway, go ahead, Tacoma. Then I'm gonna go to JBWR, who's been patiently waiting. Sir, please, and y'all hit the number one button, man. I want y'all to hit the number one button. Keep the algorithm popping. Go ahead, Tacoma.
Well, I'll say this. The last point is, so many people want revolution. They've been talking about it since the 60s.
Yeah,
but the real situation is, what you gonna do to replace what you trying to tear down? And if you don't have anything to replace it, stop talking about revolution and build as a solution. Build a new foundation for us to work with and for our children to stand on.
And bro, that's why I'm telling you, and most of these dudes don't want change. They just want a cushier spot under the umbrella of white supremacy. That's all they want. That's all they want, man. They want a better job, a bigger house, a nicer car, more women, more money. That's it. They don't want to change. They don't want to figure out how to fly your airplanes. They don't want to figure out how to lay the foundations for your apartments and houses and cities. And they don't want to do the planning, city planning. They don't want to make sure your water is running. They don't want to do none of that. They just want a cushier spot. And if they can slide that white man out the way and take control, that unearned control, right? Because whether you like it or not, the white man took this world by force. And as
he did.
Respect that. You understand? Because we took this world by force and held on to it for 80,000 years. They've had it for 500 years. And unless you're man enough to take it back the right way, then you can't complain about it. Just sit around and bitch. You see what I'm saying? But I'm not that type of person. I'm going to go out. Let me tell y'all again, the world belongs to whoever is strong enough to take it and hold on to it. That's it. This is God's world. We are all God's children. We are all equally entitled. But if you let somebody else take it, that's your ass, man. I believe in taking what's mine. Now that don't mean I'm gonna run out with some pistol and put it. No, I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna work with my other brothers. We're gonna build our own systems. We're gonna have our own communities. We're gonna start with our houses, build our children. You understand what I'm saying, brothers? Not waiting around because somebody told me I'm a victim of this and a victim of that, and so now I'm also entitled, and so that's not how men operate. That's not a manly way of thinking. You understand what I'm saying? We are hunters. We're an army. We are conquerors, not the conquered, and that's it. And that's the difference between me and the brothers that we had in the past. You see what I'm saying? Be men is what I'm asking you brothers to do, and stop listening to these cowards that are trying to do this, that, and the other. Next thing you know, they messing around with strippers and shit, spending your donations, buying big ass mansions and stuff. Don't leave them folk alone, man. That's not good leadership. But anyway, thank you, Tacoma. JBWR, man. What are your thoughts on the conversation, sir?
Oh man, I'm loving the energy. If I had to say anything as to why the empowerment movement fell apart, is because a lot of, man, how can I say this? A lot of false introspection, right? I mean, it's one thing for us to say we need to do this, we need to do that, but what happens when there's all talk but no action? I'm not talking about firing shots and whatnot, but like you said, man, if we can't even take it upon ourselves to learn how to operate the system we are functioning within, and what good is a plan? What good are leaders if we can't move the ball forward, right?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Like we got leaders, so-called leaders, in our circles, and the first thing they do is they talk about building up women, right? Women ain't supposed to be the head of your household.
Right.
If a man can't have accountability within himself, he can't expect that of anybody else in his household. If you can't control your home, what good are you in the workplace? If you know good in the workplace, what good are you in the movement? You know what I'm saying? So we got false leaders, or not even false leaders, man. We got people who assume the role of leadership, right? And then because nobody wants to put in the work, nobody wants to follow up.
So hold on. You hit on something. They assume the role of leadership. Really, what they did, bro, they filled a role they filled a void.
Yeah, there was a vacuum.
And hold on, Tacoma said this, and he hit on something. I wanted to let him finish. We've been too busy living our own lives, getting our jobs and paying our taxes and trying to get that nice car and getting that raise. And we got these clowns over here spewing this rhetoric to those among us who are the easy to sway. You got a lot of black men who are disenfranchised. They made poor decisions in the 80s and 90s. They got criminal records. You see what I'm saying? They might have they've been abandoned, like you heard Frank James. He was abandoned by his family. I ain't heard from if you can't produce, it don't matter who you are. They're gonna leave you alone. You can't produce. You can't make money. Your sister, I ain't talked to him in years. Why? Because he ain't been able to do nothing for us. Read through that.
Yeah, what have you done for me lately?
Right. So you got a lot of disenfranchised black men who are vulnerable, who sit up and listen to the internet all day. And now they charged up off of this rhetoric. They gravitate to this. I'm a victim, but I'm a man. So that means I'm supposed to fight back.
Yeah.
On top of that, I'm entitled to something. So that means I'm supposed to take something because somebody took something from me. So you mesh that together with the circumstances and issues that life, the trying situations that you have to deal with life and the trauma, all of that, especially being a black man in America. You mix all that together, you're going to get somebody that's going to run an SUV into a crowded Christmas parade, or going to take arms and take a hatchet and guns to a subway in Brooklyn and shoot up a bunch of children in the name of what? Fighting white supremacy? Because see, here's what, did you read his rhetoric? Did you hear the stuff? Look at his Facebook page. I'm not putting it up. Look at his YouTube page. That's some of the same extremist rhetoric that you hear on the internet coming from these dudes. That's dangerous, man. But don't do that in my name. I ain't no punk. If I don't like you, I'm gonna walk up on you and sock you in the mouth, and we're gonna handle it like men. I'm not hurting no children. I'm not hurting no women, man. That's not masculine. That's not respectable. Huey P. Newton, the Black Panther Party, they had their weapons. But guess what? The people that they was dealing with, the police had weapons too. There's plenty of shootouts. Whether you like it or not, I can respect that. What I can't respect is some crazy white boy going up in the church and shooting some innocent folk. You see what I mean? A bunch of playing folk. The same way I can't respect this dude going into a subway, killing up a bunch of innocent folks trying to get back and forth from work and school, man. I can't respect that, man. And that's not us. This man don't speak for me. And whoever gassed him up to think he did speak for me, we as black men need to shut that down now.
Yeah, I completely agree. I completely agree. It's actions like these that perpetuate a negative narrative of what empowerment could be for the black community, for black men, like people who just follow these like these fake leaders, these avatars online, right? Just like you said, man, they're not even man enough to stand on their own. Show your face, man. Use your name. You know, if you all about your people, why not put yourself out there? Because that's what a leader should do.
If you're afraid of your people, man, you don't need to be a leader.
Right. If you're afraid of your people, why is you even talking to them? Right.
That's what I'm saying. Like,
and a lot of our folks, they listen to this rhetoric. They don't do any background searches. Well, not necessarily a background search. They don't fact check any of this mess. See, you know, and they just run with it.
Let me. I want to be absolutely clear. It's some people I can understand why they want to keep their privacy. But see, those people are not the ones wolfing that big shit out here, talking, disrespecting people online, calling them out their name. You know what I'm saying? I don't do that. I'm very respectful. You know, I'm respectful because I put myself out here. This is how you keep yourself in check. If I was on here talking stuff to all, and somebody run up and sock me in the mouth, I deserved that, didn't I? You see what I'm saying? I'm out here selling wolf tickets like I'm big and bad, and you know, and my arms and legs are made of steel. I got bumpers on my backside. You deserve to get knocked out. That's what happens. The public will check you. You know
exactly.
And what I tell you, brothers, I'm a humble man. I love you, brothers. I respect you. I treat you with respect. Even when brothers get out of lineup, yes, sir. No, you see what I mean? And I ask you, brothers, to respect each other here. We don't have these disrespectful arguments on this page. But it starts when we do respect here. You see what I'm saying? And if you got somebody who's wolfing that big stuff, they selling them wolf tickets and talking that big shit online, and you can't hide your face, man. No, come on out now. You big and bad. You badder than the rest of us brothers. We all here at the bottom of this slave ship. But you talk, okay, but you hide. You hide behind master's invention. I don't respect that. You know what I'm saying? So, but anyway, go ahead, brother. And I want to go to Khalid Shakur.
Oh, yeah, man. I'm just saying, like, how can we have a leader? How can the movement move forward when our own leaders, the people pretending to be our leaders, are the major roadblocks in our own communities, man?
And I'm going to say one more thing. And I know y'all not gonna like this. If you a so-called Black Power leader and you have a meeting and your room is filled up with women, you ain't leading us. It's the men. See, this page is 90% men. That lets me know the message that I'm preaching, the message that I'm speaking is truthful, because you brothers are the measuring stick. If I was on here spitting hot foolishness, y'all be like, hey, hell with him. You see what I mean? But I'm talking to you. We are men talking on this page. This is a man page. This is grown men conversations that we having on this page, and that's why you brothers gravitate. And I want to hear what you brothers have to say. So that's why I opened it up for you brothers to speak. But JBWR, thank you so much, sir. Let's go to Khalid Shakur, brother. You've been patiently waiting. What are your thoughts on this conversation, man? Where is this going? How did this happen? How we now got people running over kids and shooting up subways in the name of Black empowerment? How did this happen, Khalid? Khalid, you there, brother?
I think it's several things, but I would definitely say the last point. Yeah, can you hear me?
Yes, sir. You got a little feedback. You got that YouTube thing popping in the back, man.
One moment.
Yes, sir.
What about now?
I think we're fine.
Okay. I would say that last point about the men being in the meeting or the complexion of the meetings that are made and who's there. I've actually seen some of these Black Power movements where the brothers literally said, "Oh, we have to make sure the sisters are on board." And I thought to myself, hold on, you're supposed to be a group of Black men doing your best to improve Black people. What the hell could these sisters be doing that's more important than supporting the brothers who are involved in that?
Yeah, man, that's their queen mother goddess Simpcha. But see, the other thing, you know, they want the money, and they understand that Black women control 78% of the dollars in the Black community, so they got to keep them happy.
That's where all that peacocking and hustling is coming from.
Yes, sir. I got to out alpha this other dude. That's why. Oh, my building's bigger than his. I'm building a school. I'm doing it. Blah blah blah. They got to out alpha each other. So the women say, "Well, I'm gonna go with him because he's the bigger. He's the one." And they lying, man. They just lying, and they waiting for a way to sell out. Most of these.
See how you get.
Go ahead, bro.
Well, see, and that's how you get these guys like Frank James, because it devolves from that point. Because there used to be a time where in these groups, you had to have some elders co-sign you to be able to get up in front of people and talk to them. Now, any old fool that can rent out a building for a weekend or for an afternoon can stand on the stage and say, "Well, I'm representing Black people." And now all of a sudden he's got a following as long as he can get enough eyes. Because it went from, you know, people like Dr. Francis Cress Wilson and Dr. Amos Wilson, whose book, Blueprint for Black Power, is still relevant, even if you can update it with some information today. But it went from how many people can I educate to how many eyes can I keep on me? So now you have people aren't even worried about if the people who are coming and sitting in front of them know anything that they can use when they leave. Just as long as they showed up, spent a little money, we're good.
That's it. As long as you buying books and T-shirts and paying for tickets to get in, and they can take that first class flight back to wherever the hell they came from, they good. You see what I'm saying? But that's not Black empowerment, man. I'm just saying, like, it's something else. And you go ahead and you do that. If that's what you want to do to call it fundraising, whatever. But don't take what our brothers and sisters fought and died for in the 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s, and even in the early 80s, right? Don't take that and pervert that into something else, man. That's
I mean, Dr. King's house was bombed with his family in it. He went and got a gun, but he didn't go out here doing nothing crazy because he knew if he did something, they might not get to him, but there are a whole bunch of Black people that can end up dead or in some type of adverse situation because they can't get to Dr. King.
And let me tell you something else, man. As an African people, we respect our ancestors.
Right. So
anytime you got somebody telling you about how you should disrespect your ancestors or how this ancestor wasn't this or that, that's not African. That's not who we are. That's white folks. They used to bury their ancestors in funeral homes and get as far away from as possible. That's white folks that took their people and put them in old folks' homes. We keep our people with us. You understand? In some of these African villages, grandma's buried right here in the house, in the hearth. You understand? It goes against who we are as a people to shun our ancestors. We believe that we join our ancestors. And, you know, I'm not going to go into this blackity black thing, but like I said, I was raised in this. This is not something I picked up on the internet in the 90s because this shit was fashionable. I was raised in this. That's why I love you, brothers. You understand what I'm saying? I love my Black brothers, and I want to see you do well. I want to see you ball. I want to see you have happiness and peace of mind and happiness. That's what I want for my brothers. I mean this shit. You understand? That's the difference between me and these dudes. I've been at the top. I've seen what it's like. Ain't nothing but white folks around me. I want my brothers with me. You understand what I'm saying? And so you're being misled by these folks who are telling you, shun your ancestors. They didn't do enough. Even this whole baby boomer X generation thing they got going on. It was them that was the ones out there, right? That was fighting and doing what they was doing. So the white folks said, well, you know, we got to get these Negroes something because this young group of Negroes are not like the ones we had in the 50s. So we better do something. There's always been either you take the carrot, you take this peaceful route with these peaceful Negroes, or these violent Negroes are going to pop up. You see what I'm saying? There's always been that dichotomy between the Malcolm X's and the Martin Luther Kings, but behind closed doors, they were shaking hands and having conversations. There was unity. We never disrespect our ancestors in the Black community, man. And that's something else we need to check, man. Because at some point, if we are blessed enough by the Most High, we will all be ancestors. And you don't want these young ones coming up behind you in 40 years, kicking your old ass downstairs and snatching you up out of your cars because they've inherited what? That it's okay to disrespect their ancestors. What you put out in that world will come back to you. You understand what I'm saying? Whatever
Exactly.
our ancestors did is what they did. We respect. They got us to this point. They don't owe you a goddamn thing else. They got your black behind to this point. Some of them had to do some things they wasn't proud of, shucking and jiving and cooning, whatever. But that was to keep you from getting shot out like the Native Americans. Do you see the Native Americans? Are there any? They got a few casinos in Louisiana. You see what I'm saying? But they did what they had to do to get us to this point. What we do from this point is on us. But anyway, brother, go ahead. Go ahead and finish, and then we're gonna go to the next person, sir.
Yeah, and then just the point on the ancestors, even the ones who, you know, we may not agree with, or the ones that may have clearly fumbled, they're supposed to be an example.
Yeah.
And say, okay, that's what we know not to do. Because sometimes we get so caught up in saying who did what wrong, we don't realize the lesson in what they did wrong that we can get from it.
Yeah, man, but you don't talk bad about your ancestors, man. You don't call your ancestors. You don't do that to your ancestors, man. They dead and gone, man. They got us here. Some of these Negroes talking about, well, I was on the slave ship. I would have jumped off the slave ship. They wouldn't have me in slavery that long. They would have put that whip on your ass and you'd have been picking cotton like the rest of these people. You'd stop acting so big and goddamn bad on the internet. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Stop talking so big and bad on TV. Stop
Well,
selling
my reply,
tickets. You see what I'm saying?
my reply to that for a lot of these guys is, look, a lot of our ancestors back then were willing to have their eyes punched out or die just because they were trying to learn to read. And some of y'all got books everywhere on Amazon on your phone and won't even read. So don't tell me how brave you would have been. You wouldn't even read with your complete freedom now. And they were sitting there willing to die just to read and learn something.
I mean,
so you can sit down with that.
Dudes won't even enter into a good fist fight without running to get a gun.
Oh man, don't get me started on that.
Hey, you know what I mean? Like, you ain't bad, man. Come on, man. Cut it out. Who you selling that to? We all black men. You understand?
First
we all
thing,
black men. We ain't scared of you. Go try that with somebody else. You ain't
as soon as guys get mad now,
yeah.
Like think if Dr. King and Malcolm X had really gone at each other's throat back then, where we would be.
Yeah, man. So anyway, brother, let's go. I want to get to JJ and then
go to somewhere. I had enough time. I appreciate you.
No, you welcome to stay, man. It's the round table. All the brothers are welcome. JJ, man, thank you so much for being here, brother. What are your thoughts on? He's a veteran out here, man. What are your thoughts, man? And y'all hit the #1 button. This is not going to be a popular show. I ain't got no divestors on here. You see what I'm saying? We ain't talking about, you know, traveling overseas. And this is not a popular show. You see what I'm saying? This is just brothers talking to other brothers. This is what YouTube should be. You see what I'm saying?
This is a very necessary conversation.
Yes, sir. So let's get to JJ and then get to Billy the Kid, man. JJ, what's happening, brother? Talk to me.
Hey, you got Billy the Kid on there. Tell him I said hello. This is JJ, and thank you for having me.
Okay. All right. All right.
It's good, my brother.
Hey, man. For years, I've been talking about things that show the end times. And also, I've been talking about things, well, like, you know, renewable energy. They talking about, see, this is a farce with the U.S. government. And they got all this wicked technology on these trucks that you have to use this fluid, and it's made out of urea and all this stuff, and fertilizer is made out of.
What I want to know is, what do you think about this whole situation in Brooklyn with this man get on, this 62-year-old man? Is that the reputation that we want to have as black men?
Hell no.
I mean, well, and this dude apparently got a YouTube page. This dude got a Facebook page where he talk about, we gonna do this, that, and the other to this group and that group. Is this what we doing? This is the rhetoric we listening to now? Because he's listening to it and he's regurgitating it, and now he done went out and did something. That's dishonorable. You see what I'm saying? Go ahead, brother.
All right. In the last days, the Lord said people's heart will be waxed over and waxed because of the lawlessness.
Mm-hmm.
They give up on God and they get angry because of the evil in the world, and this is why people like this is acting out.
All right. Well, I appreciate that input, brother. I want to go ahead and get to Billy the Kid. Sir, welcome to the podcast. Welcome to the broadcast. It's good to have you. I think you might be new here, but welcome, man. What are your thoughts on this conversation? The floor is yours.
First off, let me start by giving you your flowers. My mother, she put me on you about 2 years ago, and she told me that you were an excellent Black lawyer who I should follow and emulate. And so she
Thank
also told me the same thing about right before Nipsey passed. She was like, you need to go down to Inglewood and sign up with Nipsey's, church. He got some good things going on down there. And so
all
anytime my
praises.
mother tells me to do
Yeah.
anything,
Uh-huh.
it's a good thing.
Well, all
So
praises to the Most High, man. Any wisdom that any of y'all are able to, gather from me, all wisdom comes from the Most High. So all praises go to him.
right.
You know
And so I just want to tell you that you're doing the work, man. You in here doing the real work, having the real conversations, actually giving the real knowledge. And it's not popular, like you said. This is not going to be one of the most popular, casts, but it's a very necessary cast. So the first thing I want to get into is the guy who did that.
And I'm
that
not putting this
situation.
picture up. I'm not putting this picture up because I'm not doing it. But
No,
y'all,
you don't have to. You don't have to. But me,
yeah.
I'm also a veteran. I was in the Marine Corps from
Okay.
05 to 09.
All
I
right.
did. I was in OIF, Operation Iraqi Freedom, and I was in Afghanistan.
Mm-hmm.
And when I
Thank
came
you for
back
your
home
service.
in 2009,
Hey man, I did a whole. I was gonna say I want to let you speak, but I did a whole presentation of our Black men, our Black war fighters, and so I thank you so much for what you could. And I don't want to cut you off, but basically, it's the Black men who went away to war and came back. They were the real men who pushed the civil rights movement. But go ahead, brother. I don't want to interrupt you,
but
sir.
not
Amen.
just us. Let's not forget about our Native American brothers, and let's not forget about our Hispanic brothers, because we are one and the same. We are all brown people.
Well, I'm gonna disagree with you on that. I think our circumstances are different than theirs. Now
I
they
mean, I
they
get
have
what you're
suffered
saying.
atrocities. They have suffered atrocities, and in some regards, we can benefit from a mutually beneficial relationship. But
Right.
we are still our own people, and our circumstances are different. But aside from that, that's okay. We can disagree. But go ahead.
Right. I'm not
We do have some
disagreeing.
commonalities, but go ahead, brother.
I agree with what you just said. You
Yes, sir.
are totally, you hit the nail on the head. They're more like our cousins. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
They have a similar struggle, but they're not us. But we can benefit from what they've gone through, and they can also benefit from what we can benefit from each other.
Yes, sir.
So that's a big point of it all. That's what I mean by we're brown people and we're oppressed people. So with that being said, when I got out in 09, I'm up here working in Dallas. I live in Houston, and I'm working in Dallas right now.
So you from LA? Where you from originally, bro?
I'm from New Orleans.
Okay. Oh, you from the
I'm from New Orleans. I joined the Marine Corps when I was 17, and I got stationed in San Diego. And I have a whole bunch of family in LA. So Los Angeles is like my second home. New Orleans is my first, and Houston is my third. Well, Texas is my third.
What part of New Orleans are you from?
I'm from Uptown.
Uptown got you catching up
by the Calio. They got a street by the Calio project called the Parkway.
Man, I know just what you talking about, man. I used to get, man, when I would come down from Grambling to the Bayou Classic, some kind of way I'd end up in the goddamn projects. I'm like, I got to get the hell out of here, because I don't know if you guys.
Hey, you got stuck in there. You couldn't leave.
Oh, bro, let me tell you.
Hard for you to breathe, huh?
It's hard for me to breathe, bro. Hey, man, look, the crazy thing is, and then I end up going to Southern. Now we off track. I know we off track, but look.
No, but you're right. Let me jump it back on.
Go ahead.
We can catch up for real.
Yeah.
But let me get back on to this topic about what I was saying about old buddy.
Yes, sir.
That when I came back home, when I got out the Marine Corps, I didn't. When I was in, I suffered through a lot of, when I was in, it was a time where racism was still racism. Now we got this watered down racism where people say stuff and do stuff and it's not really accounted for. And we got white people saying the N-word and this, that, and it's so comfortable. Things are so weird now.
Yeah.
And I come from a place where it was more structured. So when I was in, I got into a lot of fights with white guys about the N-word and this, that, and third. And so when I got out of the Marine Corps, I didn't want to have anything to do with the Marine Corps. I was like, you know what? I when I get out, don't call me, don't text me, don't send me no letters, I don't want nothing to do with y'all.
Right.
And so for the past about 10 years, I've avoided everything military. And now that I'm getting married again, my wife now, she was like, you can get a whole bunch of benefits from the military. Right. She was like, I know my dad was in the military and I can show you how to start getting disability and all these different type of things. I was like, all right, go ahead, set it up. So now I'm all about telling my younger peers, bro, if you ain't got nothing going on for yourself, if you in a town or you in a city like Opelika, Third Ward, South Side Atlanta, a place where it's hard to get out, a place where you're gonna have to work your behind out to get out. The easy way to do it, you don't have to be in a canoe and work up river. You can jump in a raft boat, which is the Marine or military, and get to that next level a lot easier.
Yeah.
So with that being said, when I got out in 2009 and I didn't want anything to do with the Marine Corps, I started growing out my hair and stuff. Police started treating me like the average everyday Negro. And by me being dumb to the fact of I could use this as leverage, I didn't know that at the time. So I experienced a whole bunch of unnecessary harassment from police officers. And all of a sudden, 2 years later, after I got out, there's this guy in Dallas, black guy, who starts shooting up, police officers at a parade in Dallas. Yeah, and he went on YouTube the day before and he was saying, I'm tired of y'all taking out my brothers and sisters. We're gonna have to do some kind of retaliation because in Iraq and
talking about Micah Johnson.
Hold on. In Iraq and Afghanistan, they did the same thing. They did. It was a suicide mission, and the point was to be a representation that we're not just going to stand for this. You're not just going to keep killing my people and doing and taking whatever you want to, because people like me, men like me, are going to stand up and stop you.
Okay,
that
so
was what I got from his stand up.
Okay, but see, and I mentioned that earlier. Now, whether you disagree or agree, I don't agree with that. Okay, but here's the difference between Micah Johnson and Frank James. Micah Johnson, at least he targeted men who could defend themselves. You understand? Who did Frank James target?
Any and everybody.
Women and children, brother. See, the brothers in and look, I don't want to. This is ugly and this is hard to do, but I'm a lawyer.
No, go ahead, because you just let me know some information that I didn't know before.
Yeah, and this is ugly, and it's gonna be ugly, but this is what lawyers do. Okay, I'm gonna put it out there for you to look at. When we talk about the Black Panther Party, they fought against cops. They shot it out with cops.
Right.
Those cops
were straight World War II with the cops.
They were well able to defend themselves. I can respect that.
Right.
They might have been right. They might have been wrong. History will tell.
They were right.
Micah Johnson. That's your opinion. You're entitled to it. Micah Johnson, Christopher Donner. Do these names sound familiar to you guys? Huh? Y'all know who Christopher Donner is? Gavin Long. Do these names sound familiar to you guys?
I don't know who Gavin Long is.
Baton Rouge, 2016. All of these men fought it out with the police in the name of Black empowerment, whether you agree or disagree. Okay, at least they weren't targeting innocent
Right.
women and children. You understand
Right.
what I'm saying?
It was a war stance.
You don't have to like it. You might call them crazy. You might call them crazy, but you can't call them cowards.
Right. It was a Geronimo stance.
You understand what I'm saying, fellas? You might disagree, and I know I got pro law enforcement. Oh, I can't wait to read the comments tomorrow. Okay, I get it. But at least if they shot it out with the sheriff, they had a shootout at noon with the sheriff, damn it, I can respect that.
Right. It was all honor. It was like the Alamo.
Yeah, you might have been an outlaw, but you shot it out with the sheriff. I cannot respect a man who went into a crowded subway in one of the busiest cities in America and shot innocent women and children. I cannot respect a man who took an SUV, drove it through a barrier into a parade of innocent women and children and ran over 5 people, crushing skulls and bodies and bones, and hurt another 48 people. I don't respect that. That's not black men. I respect courage.
Right.
I respect dedication. If you're gonna put it on the line, put it on. You're a military man. It's one thing to shoot at people. It's another thing to shoot at people when they're shooting back.
Right.
We agree with that.
First of all, that's the only time you should shoot at somebody.
And that takes courage. You see what I'm saying? You might be crazy, but you was correct. You wasn't no coward with it. You see what I mean? You wasn't. It's no different than when you have people who fly planes into buildings full of innocent people and knock and kill 3,000 people. That's cowardice to me, man.
That is cowardice.
When you run up in a church full of black folk who are praying to God and you shoot them down, that's cowardice to me, man. Okay,
and it's funny that you
hold on, brother. You got your ass whooped by some black Seminole Indians, and so what you do is, since the men whooped your butt, you circle back around, Andrew Jackson, and you kill off all the women and children who are waiting because the men whoop. That's cowardice to me. I don't care how many dollar bills they put him on. That's cowardice to me. You understand the difference? We have never been cowards in this country. We've been through a lot. You know what? We've been thugs. We've been Negroes. We've been cotton pickers. We've been tobacco pickers. We've been COONs. We've been bootlegs. But we're not cowards. We're not killing women and children. That's the difference. You understand what I'm saying?
First of all, Andrew Jackson was one of the worst of the worst. He was shot the first time for cheating. Well, no. He was having sex with another man's wife, and the man shot him in the chest.
Well, I don't want to go too deep into that. That's not the. Yeah, okay, so he was a scoundrel and a coward. I get that. But my whole point is, man, this is not us, and it's gone too far. See, this online rhetoric is the reason why you got people thinking they got a green light to go out and shoot up women and children and run. This is the second one in like 4 or 5 months. This is not us as black men. And it's incumbent upon all of us to begin to do something about it. We need to put these dudes in check and tone this down. You understand what I'm saying? This is not the hill we want to die on. That's my whole point of having this conversation. Now, I want to go another. Thank you so much, Billy the Kid. What else would you like to say? Then we're going to do another round with the brothers, man. We running up in the hour number 2.
My whole thing is I talk about this a lot on the Lapeef, and nobody ever wants to really deep dive into it. But what are the we can sit back and we can speculate on our community and our downfalls and our all of the negative in our community. And there's a lot to dwell on, and there's a lot to get over. But if we sit up here just like a person in debt, if you sit up here and dwell on your debt and you're just looking at your bills pile up and you're just talking about your bills, we need to come up with a real solution fast. And we don't need to just come up with one. It needs to be a brainstorming of solutions. It needs to be almost a holocaust of the black people, of the black culture. We need a whole overhaul of what we deem important and what we deem necessary in our community. Because a lot of times what I talk about is us as Black people, not just in America or statewide or countrywide or this, that, worldwide, we are unprotected. We are the least protected people on earth. If you look at it in Russia,
brother, no. I think we're kind of getting off the subject a little bit. Okay.
No, I'm getting to what.
Okay, go ahead and make your point because I want to get on to some of the other brothers.
In Russia, they have they have war games, which is almost like their Olympics. You go to Nigeria, which is the world's richest Black economy, and they have the least when it comes to army reserve and all these different type of things. They don't have jets, they don't have tanks.
Let me say this, brother, because I definitely want to get on because we're into the second hour right now.
Hold on. But what we need to do in America, what we need to do between Black people is to protect and build this economy.
The reason
what can we do to protect it?
The reason
once we build it, we got to protect it.
Okay, brother. The reason that we're the least protected is because we don't protect each other.
Right.
Facts.
You understand?
Yeah.
So let's start with that. I want you to begin to protect yourself and let that extend out to your children and your family and your household. And the natural confluence is going to be for you to protect your community.
Right.
You understand? That's how it starts. You start with you. See, I don't want you expending your time and energy trying to get together in meetings. That ain't going to work. You start with you. Protect you first. Put yourself first. And then you begin to build yourself. And then let that flow into your family. Your mama told you to follow me, right?
Right.
I'm giving you some advice. You focus on you being the best man you can be. That's what you do. Focus on that. And everything else is going to flow out naturally. All of that, you can't save the world, man. But what I want you to do is,
I'm not trying.
What I want you to do is listen, brother. I want you to save yourself and your children and your family. The best adversary against the system of white supremacy racism is a strong, intact Black man who has direction, who has a mission, who knows what he's doing. Now, it ain't my Sunday service, but you need to figure out what God wants you to do and go through that mission. You understand what I'm saying? And then everything you need will come along. But you start with you first, and everything else will flow through. Thank you so much, Billy the Kid. All right, so Billy the Kid brought up the Marine Corps. He said, basically, if you ain't doing nothing, join the Marine Corps. I met a brother today at the bank, and I'm gonna take this point of personal privilege, and I just thought it was a great idea to put this up. He is an inspector with the Houston Police Department, and he and I just saw that you don't see a lot of Black firemen. You know what I'm saying? So I said, brother, how did you join? Brother's name was Brother Coleman, and he gave me the number to the Houston recruiting office. You need 60 hours of education, right? Minimum 60 hours, like equivalent to something like a AA degree. But really, you don't have
associates, yeah.
Right. But call this number 832-394-6600. That's a quick way into the middle class. If you're not doing that, you got a little education, you dropped out of TSU, Thurgood Marshall, couldn't hack it over at Southern University, you ended up in Houston, you somewhere. Hey, it's a lot of people moving to Texas. Call this number, man. Try out and be a fireman. That was what I wanted to say, man. And if that don't work, man, the military, man, use these mechanisms, man. But anyway, look, brothers, we are in an hour two. I wanted to give a shout out to everybody. Shout out to Lucifer Ratzinger. Thank you so much. I appreciate you for the contributions. If you appreciate what I'm doing, man, hit the number 1 button, man. Let me know you guys appreciate what we're doing by hitting the number 1 button. We got to get this algorithm going. They've been, kind of giving me a hard time. Apparently, though, something I did in the past 24 hours has caused for me to have an additional 400 followers. So, y'all can look through my timeline and figure it out. It wasn't on me. I just let the people speak. You see what I'm saying? And ask questions. But anyway, man, I want to go chaos, right? Go ahead. Who is this?
Well, if I could just interject that, my dad, he's an MD, and he joined the military, and that's how he decided that he wanted to be a doctor, and he was in the Army. So and he had a bad home life, and he was actually homeless his last two
Let's do
years
this. I want to go in
school.
order.
So
I
I
want
agree.
Chaos. Yes, sir. I want Chaos Rain to go first, and then you talk. And let's kind of focus on this subject. And I took a point of personal privilege. Let's stay focused, man. Time goes
Sure.
so quickly. I got a deposition tomorrow, and I got to be there at 8:30 in the morning. So,
Yeah.
but I wanted to get this conversation in because I know my birthday's coming up soon, and I'm gonna be with my kids and my family. I don't want to sit here for 3 hours when I should be attending to my family. So, but I thought this was an important conversation. We need to nip this in the bud. All right, we need to get we need to talk about, just like we helped change that whole what a Pookie and a Ray with the predator Pookies. We took the appeal out of that about a month ago. Let's put these black powerites in check. You understand what I'm saying? These pimps, these black power pimps are what they are. They pimping women. They're using men who are misled, who are angry. They're redirecting them, and they're doing it for profit and ego. Let's attack this collectively as a group. Now, those who are legitimately in the black empowerment, we gonna know who they are. We already know who they are. But these pimps for profit, the Black Lives Matters, the ones you see what I'm saying? All of that, we need to deal with this. Chaos Rain, man, go ahead, brother, and then we're gonna go to AJ, then Ian Gray, JBWR, Khalid, Billy the Kid. Tacoma first, and then JJ, and then back to Billy the Kid. But go ahead, Chaos. What are your thoughts, man? What are your thoughts, man? Go with it.
Right now, I think I said all I had to say, Uncle D. Overall, at the end of the day, black men should really pay attention to detail. No one said that there is assault, there is plans, and the only thing you can do is, like brother man, you gotta push back on the narrative as best as possible. You know what I'm saying? Thank you.
It's always good having you here, man. I was a big fan of Chaos Rain before I started my own podcast. He and Amiri Brown used to have a show. I listened to him, man. It was good stuff. AJ, man, I cut you off, but I wanted to kind of get an order, man. What are your thoughts?
No
man?
worries. Just Mr. Spurley, I have to give you props again, just because I share a lot of your content, a lot of younger brothers. I'm 41, so there's young men that I know who are 22, 21 at the gym and everything, and they really appreciate what you do. So I just want to give you props for everything you do, and you know what you're doing is right. When some of the stuff you say is not popular, but like I said, you are solution based, which is why your content it clicks with people. So, but I think that there's 2 points that I want to make, and number one is these black power pimps. I like that term. I think that's going to take off. Is that
somebody write that down?
Write it down. Is that now with building lesbian mansions, the BLM movement?
Is that what that? I'm done.
I saw that on your video earlier.
Yeah,
is that not? It's not just the black women that they're jockeying for money from. It's these young white millennial social justice warriors too.
Guilt.
They see
guilt. They making money.
They want that white money. Yes, that white guilt money.
Mm-hmm.
So if let's just say that there's the evil version of Mr. Sperling, and he's out there, jucking and jiving and stuff. He can try and get this white money, because a certain group did it. So that's a big deal now. Is what they're trying to do is outdo each other to have the most horrible narrative about what's going on in our community. And even though they ain't got the solutions, they are the ones getting the money, And then I think I just want to wrap up by saying that it is interesting that with social media and the internet, the superficial really does. I liken it to real hip hop versus rap music. Real hip hop has never, all the artists that I like from back in the day never were popular because it makes you think. Whereas a lot of this rap music now is just, it's not the same. And real solution-based leaders, a lot of these people, because of the social media are not popular because people don't want to think. They don't want to act. They don't want to do things that might, a revolution requires sacrifice, and who wants to sacrifice these days in the mainstream? So I think that this is a great conversation, and just thanks to you for all you do, and just for everyone on the panel. And it just makes me not feel alone when I see some of this stuff, and a little voice in the back of my head's like, man, these people are this is kind of crazy, you know? So, but thanks to everyone.
No problem. And shout out to Luce for rapping a wrench Turner. And you brought up something. This is not the first time that our people have used white guilt to get money out of them. My brother Takuma is here, and he might remember some of the stories that I heard when I was on Grambling State University's campus. There was our second president. His name was President Ralph Jones. And he would get white folk to come down, and we'd have the band sing to them, and we cook them cornbread and stuff like this. Is back in the 30s, and he was a president for like 40 years, from like 1930 to 1977. But they
put on the show for him.
Right, he put on the show for him and make him feel guilty. Us poor black folk down here, you got to ride all over and see all these black folk picking cotton and sweaty, and you get the Grambling, these happy Negroes are here to me. They played the game, but it was done to do what? Build one of the greatest black institutions in America. All these black educators and lawyers and doctors who've come up out of Grambling State, and engineers and mathematicians. That's what they use the white guilt money for.
Yes, to make advancement.
Right, not to build a $6 million mansion somewhere, man. Understand? I understand if you pimping white folks to get money so that you can actually do something like build institutions for black folk, you go right on ahead and do it. You know what I'm saying? Get it from them. I don't have a problem with that at all. You get it so we can have a nice university or a nice bank or something like that to put our money in or send our children to. But if you doing
that fundraising?
Right. But if you're doing it for your own self-interest, we gonna build a apartment complex over here, and then we gonna build and the next thing you know, don't nothing happen. Years go by and nothing's happened. All we hear is information on Twitter, and it's coming soon. It's coming. I promise you it's coming. Just send another $50. No, that's pimping. That's black power pimping. And at a certain point, if somebody, I got homeboy, and this is gonna be racist as hell. Mexicans would have had that building built inside of 10 days.
Facts.
You know what it don't take that long to build nothing these days. You see what I mean? If it's taking you 10 years to do it, 5 years, 2 years, and you already got the money, that means you don't want to do it. Everybody know that the Mexicans are building everything, and they work quick. So put the money in, and you got the permits. It should have been built by now. So what does that tell you? That tell you it's a hustle, man. They tell you they hustling you. And a lot of you brothers, y'all don't fall for it, but our women are. And why you think they so angry with us? Because they don't see him as separate from us. They see you when they see him. You see what I'm saying? They see a hustler. They see more of the same. And then you got dudes who are angry already. You see what I'm saying? And then they have respect for these so-called pro-black powerites. And then now that somebody respectable has told them something, then they think, okay, it's validated. I can do it. You understand what I'm saying, fellas? But go ahead, Ian. I want you to go ahead, man. And I just want to talk. Thank you so much, AJ, for that tidbit. But yeah, we've had that black folk been using white guilt to get white folks pay for our stuff. But as they did it was something different. That was good leadership. You see what I'm saying? There's an institution there, not just lying in somebody's pocket so they can have an extra jacuzzi in the back of their goddamn yard. But anyway, go ahead, Ian, sir.
I think though, and a lot of the mindset, and you said there early on that we have to address is a sense of entitlement, and that comes from our community being run and guided by women for a long time. So in a lot of ways, women have been a large part and push, ideologically, let's say for sure, about where the Black Power movement is going. And a lot of it is based on a sense of victimization. And yes, we can acknowledge victimizations, but we still have to be human beings and understand that regardless of our victimization, we still have God gives us a purpose and gives us a precedent, right, to build and to grow regardless of our victim status.
Right.
So the victimization cannot be the basis for our freedom and our revolution. You know, it has to be our purpose first, right? And then if we want to get something out of their pockets, we say, oh, you owe us this. Yes. But our impetus and our push has to be based on what God has made us human beings. God has made us great people, and we should carry on that legacy.
Amen. And a moral people. You see what I'm saying?
Mhm.
That's let's not forget that. Let's not forget our morality. We never
Right.
lost
True.
that. You see what I mean? We as much as we've been through, we still love God, whatever you call him, Yahweh, Yao Ming, Jehovah, whatever you.
But you had to post about the guys wearing the suits in the 1900s. You know, I mean, because we had that. You know what I'm saying? So it was irregardless of racism and white supremacy. We understood that regardless of what they were doing, we still had a call from God to be men.
Yes, sir. And let me tell y'all something about white supremacy, racism. Who's next? When the white folks die out in 50 years, who do you think is gonna take over the world next? Because it ain't gonna be us. Okay, our African brothers are too busy buying our stolen
Chinese.
cars. They too busy buying our stolen cars from Philadelphia, spending that oil money. Okay, the Arabs are not gonna do it because they don't like us and they ain't coming to. Who do you think is next? Who said it?
It's the Chinese.
All right, so I want y'all to think about the regime that runs China right now. Are y'all familiar with what they do to people in China right now? You know how many?
Oh yeah.
They put them in firing squads.
Right. So here's my suggestion. You see what I'm saying? Here's my suggestion. There's always going to be a system in place that runs the world. It's always going to be there. You see? And you just have to figure out what level of unity we have to have as a group to combat that system so that we can reap the privileges and the benefits that we want for our group. Leverage often comes through force or the willingness to use force. Now, what I don't mean going out getting rockets and stuff. What I'm talking about is our unity. Your money is your force. That's where your force, your infrastructure. If you don't do it, we're gonna build our own.
Yep.
Don't let us in your businesses. We're gonna build our own Chinatown.
Yep.
You see what I'm saying? That's the force that you threaten with. If you don't do what we say do, we're not gonna contribute to your campaigns. We're gonna give it to the other guy over there because he said he's gonna do what we want. But my whole point is, it's not gonna get better. Y'all worried about white supremacy, racism. I can't wait till this communist regime kicks in about 120 years, and your great grandkids are talking about y'all had it easy.
Well, Dennis, you just made a great point. I ain't meant to skip the line again, but that is one of the greatest points, because once you whip white supremacy, then it's going to be Chinese supremacy. Like I said, but at any moment, like you said, there's going to be a ruler over the world. But what the one thing you can do to combat whoever is ruling it is become men.
Yes, sir. And as I said before, the world belongs to whoever is strong enough to take it and hold on to it. That don't mean you got to control the whole world. Control your town. Control your neighborhood. That money that you tricked off on them Jordans, you could have put that in some judge's pockets. So when your nephew went before that judge, he's like, "Oh, you JBWR's nephew," because you standing right there next to him. So you're not begging, you threatening. You know, if my nephew, if something bad happens to my nephew,
I was making, Mr. Sperling, that
I'm gonna give you a chance to
money,
speak, brother. I'm gonna give you a chance to speak. Your turn is coming up. Right. Give it a minute. But you and I'm gonna use this parable. I'm gonna use this. You negotiate from the barrel of a loaded gun, not from a place of weakness. As long as you're victims, you're gonna be treated like victims. You negotiate from a place of strength, not weakness. You hold your adversary. Look, if you don't give me what I want, this bad thing is going to happen to you. Usually hitting them in their pockets. You understand? That's what you have to. You're not victims. You are victors. Okay, you're not the conquered. You're conquerors. And this is how you go out and you develop a mind state. right now we got people who thinking they victims and they lashing out, man, shooting up folk on the subway. This is what your Black empowerment movement is telling them. You're a victim. Anytime you got an empowerment movement that tells you you're powerless all the time, that don't make sense to me. You see what I'm saying? They're not telling you how to be powerful. They telling you you're not empowered. But anyway, JBWR, man, go ahead, brother. You've been patiently waiting. Go ahead, brother. Yes, sir.
To be amongst you brothers. I think at the end of the day, this catastrophe from this cat who shot up the subway, I think that gives us an opportunity to find out what works and doesn't work.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? It's one thing to be empowered but still be a victim, but it's another thing to see, you know, like what sort of teamwork can we do as men to become men to control our own situations and then move our families forward. And then in hopes that would, you know,
Yes, sir.
that would trickle down to our kids and then our kids' kids, and then we can grow stronger as a team, as a community. I mean, one dude lashing out emotionally like that makes everybody look bad. I mean, we keep seeing that.
And his purpose.
Yes.
He's lashing out. He's fighting. This is he's Black. He's empowered and he's fighting against white supremacy racism by shooting up a subway full of kids and women and innocent folk on their way to school and work. That's not the type of empowerment that my ancestors wanted me to have. That's savagery. That's worse than what the white man did.
It is. It's the equivalent of throwing a tantrum.
Yeah, I don't want to be like him. I last person I want to be like is a white man. I don't want to be like him. Not morally. I like his airplanes. You see what I'm saying?
I like
but
his cars.
And some of the cars, but I don't want to be like him morally. Mm-hmm. If I had to give up my soul for that, it's not worth it. You see what I'm saying, brother? And that's not the type of men that we are. We've never been those type of men. I don't care how far we move away from who we were. We're not those. That's not us as a people. God loves us for a reason. God has spared us and given us grace for a reason because we are the type of people that we are. And that's the thing I want y'all to focus on. Let's not lose our soul. And let's not let these Black power pimp preachers, preach us a doctrine that's going to sell us to Satan. That's all I'm saying, man. But anyway, let's go to Khalid, and we're going to go Billy the Kid. I think Takuma's next. And then we're going to go to Billy the Kid and then JJ. Go ahead, Khalid, brother. Go ahead.
Yeah, just to wrap it up, one thing I was thinking about was the PR that Black men have to focus on nowadays of our image and what gets put out about us.
Right.
And just to touch on it, Robert F. Smith earlier this month, about 10 days ago, in some hospital, I think it's Mount Sinai in New York, he gave $2.8 million for prostate research, which Black men are 70% more likely to die from that than any other men in America. But you didn't hear about it.
That's Black empowerment right there.
Right. Yeah. And the other thing I learned, I think that was last year, maybe 2 years ago, when he paid off the Morehouse graduating class.
Wow. That's Black empowerment right there.
But here's the other thing. I was listening to some podcast where someone was talking about him, and they said he also meets once a week with that same class. He does a call with those brothers and just gives them game about life and all that. So he's still giving them dividends on.
But see, here's the problem. The reason that the so-called the Black power right, they can't embrace him because he's married to a white woman.
They got to get over it.
And so they listen. And the reason they can't embrace him, because if they embrace him, that's going to alienate their base. And that's the lovely ladies. You see what I'm saying? The lovely lady, well, you can't embrace them. That can't be Black empowerment, because that's basically telling all these Black men to run out there and get them some women from somewhere else. And so they would lose their bread and butter. You see what I'm saying? So that's why they can't embrace them. That's how you know who truly runs the so-called Black empowerment movement, or who they're trying to appease with their rhetoric.
Well, the Black Power movement for a long time has been what I like to call dashiki feminism.
Oh, there it is. I wish I could spell dashiki. Right, go ahead.
Dashiki feminism is what it is, because like I said, you got brothers looking over their shoulder saying we got to get the sisters on board. And I'm thinking to myself, what the hell does that have to do with you being on your mission and her helping you? Because if we're going to have a bunch of women who will line up and vote blue down the line, but then turn around and tell their own men that we have to curate whatever plan we have for black folk for them. And we saw that with Brother Ice Cube when he was told on Fox Soul that black women need to have a separate plan from the plan for Black America. So a lot of these brothers, if they don't have their own household in order,
bro, they said Ice Cube sold out. Ice Cube,
yes,
that's crazy. Just because he said I'm gonna talk to whoever I want, you know. And that confirms who's running the so-called, what you call it, dashiki feminism. They let you know.
Yeah, dashiki feminism. And that goes back to the point you made earlier. The way I see it with black men when it comes to empowerment, do whatever you need to do, your plan, your gifts, and whatever you have to get elevated. Link up with other brothers who are doing the same and find what other woman is going to be on your page, whatever she looks like, as long as she's on your plan and helping you link with these other brothers and their ladies are doing the same, that's what you got to do. Because if you just wait for one particular woman, we already got 50 years of evidence to say that that's not going to work. Yeah. Unfortunately, to say.
I definitely, you know, you should have who you want, but, you know, whether you get a black woman from the Caribbean or Afro-Caribbean or African-American, I hope you brothers, they're beautiful black women. You can have whoever you want. I would hope you brothers would definitely travel and see that there are beautiful black women everywhere. You see what I'm saying? So
yeah. I'm trying to go to Tanzania this summer just to let anybody know.
I hope my sons are able to find beautiful black women to marry. That's what I tell them. You see what I'm saying? But you know, you're free to, you know, date and marry who you want. But you know, Afro-Latino, Afro-Caribbean, West Indian, African from the continent, South, you know, so many other black women. It's just the culture that's the problem. You see what I'm saying? It's not the blackness that's the problem. It's the culture here in the United States. But that said, man, thank you so much, sir. Next up, we got Billy the Kid. Brother, you've been itching to, you know, talk to us. So what are your final thoughts on this, bro? Go ahead.
I wanted to touch bases on when you were talking about how men have to get back to being men.
Yes, sir.
I definitely agree with that, and I definitely think that hits up on my point that I was trying to make about once we build this better economy for our people, it's been done in the past before many times. Black people have raised themselves out of the muck and become the richest people on earth 5 times in the history of man, more than any other race. We've become the richest people on earth more than any other race. So the problem is keeping it. Every time we become the headstone for human civilization, another culture comes in and wipes us out. Every single time. The last time it happened was in Tulsa, Oklahoma, where black people had a booming food economy. And what happened? Planes flew over top and blew it up. Now, if we move into change from a victim mindset to a conqueror's mindset, like the Europeans, we can start to get things done. If we have a mindset like Russia, because ain't nobody stopping Russia from taking nothing. If we build a mind state like Russia, and ain't no law to stop us from doing it, ain't nothing written down, ain't nothing stopping black folks from coming together and having a hive mind and taking what's ours. There's no laws against it.
I think we stop each other from coming together. Exactly. There's a lack of unity. Exactly. You know, if you look,
not just that.
If you look at our brother, hold on, I want to speak too. If you look at our history, we have a history of lack of unity. I did a whole 3-week series on reparations, and my research indicated that our African kings and queens had business dealings with the European businesses, and they literally gave them lease to capture and sell us, and they did it for profit. So as long as we have this unity in the black community, as long as we're willing to sell each other out for money, and at that time, tobacco, drums, you know, little knickknacks that they would get from these European Dutch factories. They would literally sell us into slavery for that. Disunity is our problem. That's a big deal.
I agree.
That is our biggest adversary, disunity. But
Right.
I
I definitely can agree with that.
Go ahead.
Working around Hispanics here in Texas, I can tell you that unity is power. The hive mind is power, because one morning I'm out, getting ready to get to work, and an old lady walks up to me, old Mexican lady. She don't speak English, but she has a sign in English. And I'm like, nah, I don't have anything. So she goes over to the Mexicans who are next to me parked, and they go into their pocket. They give her $20. She goes to the next car. They give her $5. The next car, 10, 5, 10, 15, this, that, and the other. And my boss pulls up, and I'm like, this lady done made at least $300 since I done been here in this parking lot. He was like, it's because in their community, they have an obligation to help each other, even if they don't have it. If they see an old woman out on the street, even if they don't have, if it's the last $5 in their pocket, they're gonna give it to that woman. And our community is sad.
That comes from good leadership, and that comes from having a culture that is not toxic.
That comes from having a hive mind.
Brother, I know, I get it, but that's part of the culture. You see what I mean? We think as one. We don't think as one. Matter of fact, we don't, and when I say we, I'm talking about black men. We don't even run the culture. You see what I'm saying? So until you, and one thing, the first thing you need to conquer is your own house, because a lot of brothers don't even run their own homes.
Right, I get that. You're right. You're absolutely right.
Becoming who you are as a man, being confident in who you are as a man, and then saying, hey, this is my house, this is how I'm going to run it, that will extend out to your community.
But do you think that there are systems in place to stop brothers from doing that?
Ain't nothing going to stop me from being a man, brother.
I mean, I get you, but there's
nothing's going to stop me from being a man, brother. There's nothing going to stop me from being a man. If any other man can do it, I can do it too.
Right. I mean,
you got to make that up in your mind, brother.
I mean, I get you. I totally agree with you.
Well,
but
then don't
I also
accept any excuses.
I think that two things can be at the same time.
Don't accept no excuses. You're a Marine. No excuses.
Right.
You're a man. You're a man. God made you a man. Act like a man. Be the man that you are. Be the best man you're supposed to be. Fill yourself up. Figure out what it is, what God's mission is for you on this planet, and you fulfill it in the name of the Most High. Nothing is going to stop you from being a man. You was born to be a man. You're a man now. You're going to die, man. Make it up in your mind.
Check this out. I get what you're saying, and I totally agree with you. A few years ago, the mother of my child,
but go ahead.
When we broke up, I cheated, and she broke up with me, and she went on to she called the police and said that I hit her and my child.
Okay, brother, let's not.
Hold on. Let me get to this point.
No, sir.
From that point on,
Billy, brother, you got to be respectful. We got other brothers who are waiting, and I want them to speak. Okay, but so you made lots of points, and let's respect the other brothers. Okay.
You're right. I'm sorry.
All right, so let's go. You come back. We do this every day. I want to go to JJ, and I'm gonna say Tacoma for last, because that's my gram fam. So thank you so much, Billy the Kid. JJ, man, what would you like to add in your closing comments on this situation?
Hey, man, salute to Billy the Kid there and the other gentleman. It's some guys that I salute.
Yes, sir. Always good at. Yeah, he was a great orator. Yeah, he had a lot to say. I just want to. We got all these brothers in here, and if I let everybody speak, then we almost at 3 hours here. You see what I mean? I got court tomorrow. I got a deposition, so I still but go ahead, JJ.
I've been in a deposition before I made it, and this.
Well, what would you like to add to this conversation? Finishing up.
Let me describe my experience in my deposition before I was.
I want you to focus on this situation with this Black empowerment movement. What are your closing thoughts on anything you've heard here today between the brothers? What suggestions? What? And I'm gonna ask Tacoma this, so get ready. What solutions do we have to dealing with this rhetoric coming from these Black power pimps? What do we do? What's the solution?
They ain't the solution. I mentioned something. I think it was Second Chronicles 7:14. That's the solution.
What does it say?
Oh,
What does that say?
and if if God's people would turn from their wicked ways and seek Him and see His face, He will hear from Him in heaven.
Okay. So I appreciate
Now,
that. We'll save that
now
back on
let
Sunday.
me say something. Let me say something
Yes,
else.
sir. Go ahead.
You know, there's a renewable resource we got. It's methane. It's a greenhouse.
Okay.
The tundra is melted.
It's getting really. It's getting. We'll save that for another time. Let's get Tacoma in. Everybody's been patient waiting. Thank you so much, JJ. Always good having you here, and I appreciate you, and I appreciate the respect that everybody has had for each other. Tacoma Graham fam, man, go ahead and take us home, brother.
All right. So it's been pretty interesting. So here's what I want to start with. The first is it's a sad thing that a brother got caught up in his emotions and can't see past the anger basically dealt from looking at our past. And I get it. So the next part is that you mentioned the word power. Power means the ability to do or the ability to get things done. The basically to be able to get something done. So and when we talk about Black power, basically we're talking about empowering ourselves. So we need to give opportunities and set up opportunities for people to learn or to practice things to be able to get things done. Thirdly, I want to say that as an example in my own life, one of the things I'm working on doing, I've been wanting to do it, but I'm setting up a garden to use it as a multiple teaching tool for my daughters, even and myself, for science, for business, and for being able to use it to take up the land.
Yes, sir.
And so the fourth thing I want to mention is, people were saying about talking about how to not what's the next thing coming, but how to do the next level thing. Well, one of the reasons why people don't get into it with China is because they have so many people. And this concept that's been on my mind lately is, how do we take back territory? How do we claim power? Well, basically, we take what we have and we duplicate it, right? God said, be fruitful and multiply. Take that which is good. Once you recognize that is good, duplicate it and duplicate it. Take up the space that's left behind. Take up the space, whether it's land, whether it's in business, take up the space and then go recreate yourself in somebody else.
Good point. Yes,
and keep that and keep that going. So that way we outpopulate what is evil. We outpopulate what is crooked. We outpopulate that which gets nothing done.
Yes, sir. Brother, I appreciate that, man. The most poignant point you said, the power is the power ability to do things.
Yes.
So Black empowerment is Black people doing things. And I'm going to add on to that, building infrastructure and systems that will withstand the test of time. That's the type of Black empowerment. Yeah, we had our brothers. Our brothers had to take to their weapons during the civil rights movement, and Black Panthers being one of those groups. And you had other Black men who did it. But that was just because they were interfering with us building our things. And the brother brought up Tulsa, Oklahoma. We fought back. It wasn't until they brought the planes and the bombs and they started dropping dynamite from the air that we began to lose that fight. But the thing is, we fought back, and and you should be willing to defend yourself. But what we should not be doing is condoning somebody who is willing to shoot up a subway full of innocent children and women and folk, men going to work and school and whatnot, going about their business and living their life. That's not who we are as men. I don't care what color they are. That's not who we are. We're God's people. We're God-fearing. We love God. God is with us. God has always been with us. And when we finish going through this turmoil that we're dealing with, we'll be who God wants us to be. And unfortunately, God is not coming to save us. We're going to have to get ourselves out of this ourselves. But as long as we have this victim mentality, as long as we have this entitled mentality, nobody's going to give you anything. You're not a conqueror. You're the conquered. You're not a victor. You're a victim. And so we have to change this mentality. So when you have a group of people who reap profit, and the brothers refer to them as these black power pimps, they reap a profit from keep continually selling you this rhetoric, this debasing rhetoric that tells you you're a victim. The system is keeping you down. As I said before, what are you going to do when white folks are no longer here and the next ones up are in charge? You think the Chinese are going to go any easier on you than white folks? Huh? You think their system that they're going to impose on the world is going to be any easier or less bigoted or racist towards you? You can't shoot all of them up. The best thing to do is the hard work. The hard work requires unity. The hard work requires tucking your ego down in your pocket somewhere and being willing to work with your brother and learn from your brothers, as opposed to concerning yourself about how much money he pulled in at the fundraiser, or how many subscribers he has, or how many women like him. Focus on building yourself in the infrastructure that we need for our children. That's empowerment, not ego stroking. And see, now you got people, they got so carried away with that rhetoric. Now you got people who are coming out of the woodwork thinking, this is what I'm supposed to do. Because this is black empowerment. And so they're getting their rifles and their guns and they're using their SUVs, and I don't know what's coming next. Who knows what? You got these folks gassed up. They think they're victims. Now they feel like they got to fight back. They think they're entitled to something. Now they feel like they got to go out and commit all sorts of craziness to get what's owed to them. See, that's the easy thing to do. Unity is the hard thing to do. That's why we haven't been able to do it. Unity means you got to tuck your ego. Unity means you have to sit down and learn. Black empowerment was what? It was something that learned people put together. Whether they were formally educated like Dr. Francis Cress Welsing, or they learned from long study like the Honorable Elijah Muhammad's student Malcolm X. They learned something. And then they put a tangible plan together. They broke the holes that we had on us, the self-hate. The Honorable Elijah Muhammad is one of the most brilliant people I've ever studied. He was the one that came in and told y'all that the white man is the devil and gave you all these facts and reasons and whatnot. And what that did was it made you take him down off that pedestal, him and his white woman. Because at the time he came around, black folks literally worshiped white men as God. Some of y'all still might see white folk, black people have pictures of white Jesus in their house, especially go to the old people. They literally thought the white man was God. And when they saw that white Jesus, well, yeah, it makes sense because the white man is God. It was the Honorable Elijah Muhammad and his student ministers that said, we need to make sure that we hit these white folks in their strength. Because as long as black folks see them as God, as long as they see them as good and wonderful, then we can never break that stronghold. It was the Honorable Elijah Muhammad who did that, who came up with that plan. And now you see, since it's been broken, they don't even call white folks devils no more. You see that? That's planning. That was intelligence. That was strategic. Not running up in the subway, shooting up a bunch of kids. That ain't strategic. That is asinine, crazy, and savage. Killing up a bunch of folks in the subway, killing up a bunch of folks at a parade with an SUV. No, that's not what our ancestors. That's not thoughtful. That's not empowerment. That's exactly what that's the opposite of who we are as a people.
And Dennis, can I add?
It's foolish. So we have got to take the reins back. This rhetoric has become dangerous. We as black men need to stand up, and we need to put these for-profit black power pimps back in under the rock that they crawled out from under with the rest of the slime and the goo. And I know you like to hear what they say. I know. I enjoy the rhetoric too sometimes. But it's gone too far. It's gone too far. And I'm not worried about retribution. We can never catch up with the white man for the different atrocities that he's done upon us. We can never catch up. The world can't catch up with him. But what I am concerned about is our salvation and our morality and where this is taking our people. Period. And if you can't see that, then you're just not ready for this conversation, and you're going to go the way of the dodo bird. But either way, this is Uncle Dennis Sperling, Uncle D, to you guys. I hope you appreciate what I've done. We don't have a lot of people here tonight. Shout out to Ian Graves. Shout out to Khalid Shakur, Takuma. Mr. Ian Graves, you had something to say before we leave, sir? Mr. Ian, Mr. Graves?
Yeah, you know that town in Tennessee, you know, we need thoughtful black men to go up there to defend the town where the white racist governor is trying.
He's referring, and you're referring to the fact that a big business wants to come into town, and I get it. We'll talk about that another time, brother. Let's stay focused on the subject. But thank you so much.
Yes, sir.
I know exactly what you're talking about. But anyway, this is Dennis Sperling. I love you guys. I know this has been a hard-hitting conversation. It's supposed to be uncomfortable. It's supposed to make you upset. If you liked every goddamn thing that I said, then I wouldn't be doing you no good. I'm supposed to challenge you and make you rethink who your heroes are. This is our job as men, to challenge each other. And anybody don't like it, I don't give a damn if you don't like it. This needs to be said. You got people who are pimping and pandering and selling rhetoric that they didn't invent and twisting it up and perverting it. And now you got people it started just wanted your money. And now you got people doing crazy stuff like this in the name of black empowerment. Don't do that to my Dr. Francis Cress Wilson. You can't do that to my Malcolm X. That's not happening. You won't crap on their legacy with this foolishness. And I get it. You're doing it for ego. You're doing it because you want to feel good about yourself. You're doing it for money. But you won't do that to my ancestors. I love my ancestors. I respect my ancestors. I appreciate all my ancestors who stood on this planet and fought against this system. Whether they did it the way you wanted to do it or not, I appreciate my ancestors, and my ancestors appreciate me for being this voice. I love you all. God bless you. You don't have to like what I'm saying. I'm cool with that. But either way, it needed to be said. This is Uncle D. I'm out.